and we had law enforcement telling us that when you have a situation like this, the instinct is for you to run for the entrance that you came in, and that may not be the best entrance to escape a dangerous situation. So you heard some folks, they didn't leave through the front. They went through the back, which was probably a really smart thing to do, not heading to the front of the store, not knowing what all was happening in the front of the store.
Yeah, to have your wits with you, too,
yes.
To just know to not lose your cool
right.
after hearing something scary.
And to confirm, not many people know what gunshots sound like. And so when you hear that, you for a second question, was that what I thought it was? And
we heard the confusion from people, because even people who walked out of the store who were inside after Brett had already been reporting for several minutes here, walking out, and they still do. I mean, they're asking Brett for information.
The woman was buying school supplies. That's not what you expect to report when you get home. Oh yeah, I was buying school supplies, and also there was an incident and I heard gunshots and we had to evacuate the store. And so that is a story that this woman will now share of what happened this evening at the Meijer.
Okay, Brett Lemoyne has reconnected. Know you're on your cell phone here, Brett. You know, it's interesting. I'm looking at your shot. If we could take it live. What's the scene around the store now as they've booted you, although we're waiting for a press briefing any moment here from the police department. They moved Brett over to the pick and save where they say they will talk, but I don't see any law enforcement in the intersection. I mean, do they have all those entrances blocked off, Brett, so people know not to go inside?
Yes, Ben, they do. As you mentioned, I did move across the street to the pick and save, which is where they told us that there would be a media staging area. Just as I pulled in over on this side of Sunset, I saw the city of Waukesha's mobile command unit drive up into the parking lot here at the Meijer. They do have all of the entrances blocked now, which is why, and I apologize, we had to leave earlier. But I think if you can see, and I apologize as well for not being at the best vantage point, but I'm certainly, I think, at the clearest as I can be. You can see there is what appears to be from here a sheriff's squad that is blocking one of the entrances. They've put up orange cones. They're not letting anyone in or out. In fact, when I drove out, I was asked by deputies at two different checkpoints leaving the parking lot if I had spoken to law enforcement, if I had given a statement. I had to tell them that I was with FOX6 and that I wasn't in the store when it happened. But certainly they're trying their best to make sure that they've spoken to everyone who was inside the store as this went down.
Brett, how many people, when you got there, how full was the parking lot, or by that point had the store evacuated?
So when we left just a few moments ago, the parking lot for the Meijer was pretty thin. There were very few people that were still in the parking lot, which I think was an indication that there were a few people who were still in the store. But obviously, as we heard, I think just before I left, we heard from that man who had pulled in thinking, well, I'm just going to pop over to Meijer for a quick second and, do some shopping, ultimately was turned away. He had no idea what had happened just a few moments earlier.
Yeah, it's a wild scene because of how big the store is. Now, in Wisconsin, for officer-involved shootings, if it is a deadly officer-involved shooting, there is a state law that an outside agency must come in and investigate. If it's not a deadly officer-involved shooting, different departments have different policies. For example, Beaver Dam today sending out a press release. They were involved in a car chase with a motorcyclist who got hurt. They brought in an outside agency to investigate what happened here. Brett, this is really early on in the scene, but oftentimes when an outside agency needs to come in to investigate, everything is kind of put on pause until those outside investigators come. This may be a really hard scene to tell what's happening because it's all happening inside of the Meijer, but were you able to see if they've kind of were locking down the scene and waiting for other investigators to arrive, or if it was still active.
Yeah, and an important clarification to make, Ben, is the distinction of whether it's a fatal shooting or a non-fatal shooting as well. We don't have any indication either way, as far as I know, at this point. However, again, we just want to stress that I did see an individual placed in the back of an ambulance. This person was seated upright when he was placed in that ambulance. So at least for that individual who was being treated for whatever had happened to him, either directly or indirectly, it did not appear to be fatal, at least in that case.
I'm checking social media because this is the age that we are in, that a lot of times companies will respond to an incident online. And so far, I've not seen any posting from Meijer corporate, but certainly they are in the loop that a situation has happened at their store in Waukesha around 6 o'clock this evening. Reports of a person with a knife inside the store. And we heard from shoppers that Brett spoke with that some people, that was the story that they were hearing from other shoppers, is that someone has a knife, and they all, hightailed it out of the store. One person that Brett, you spoke with, said that they saw blood on the floor.
Yeah, that they actually had to step over some blood, which is, quite a gruesome scene to depict there. But that is what shoppers are telling us. The other pretty shocking testimonial that we heard from one shopper was that she saw a man with white face paint. For some reason, she had no idea, but she later learned that he had been running through the store with a knife. Again, that is, if from her account, that part secondhand information, but she told us live on air she saw this man with white face paint, and then was later led to believe that he was the individual that had been running through the store with a knife.
Yeah, you talked to a lot of shoppers, and some people were telling you things that sounded secondhand, and some of the things were firsthand. But the things that were consistent, Brett, in all of those shoppers, it sounded like there was some sort of commotion, like shouting, and then the shots were fired from law enforcement.
Yeah, that is the through line through most of the accounts that we've heard so far. Again, we're still waiting to hear an official word, Ben. But yeah, that is pretty much the gist here. And what I think is really interesting as well is that you've pointed out already, Meijer is a massive store. There is a lot of ground that is inside there with shelving and merchandise. And there were some people that came out that said, I didn't even know what was taking place until I just, left the exit and was asked by police as to what had happened. There were a couple of people that had even made it through the checkout line without any knowledge of what had transpired. Now, we did hear from some of those people who didn't know that they later had said, well, we heard, some loud noises, but we didn't think anything of it at the time. Others, presumably closer to the scene, had a slightly different account saying there was chaos, that there were people running. One woman said that she had to hide in the store because she had heard what she had believed to be gunshots, and she didn't know what was going on.
And this is just, when you talk about a department store like this, so many, when you walk in the door, you almost immediately encounter people. And so for us to only know of one person so far transported, we've not gotten any information of anyone else that was injured. This is just really remarkable because, we don't know where this incident happened, how deep into the store the person was actually able to get. But you've got to think that person was encountering people, left and right, and that no one else seems to have been injured. it's really the good news in this.
And seemingly law enforcement on their heels inside of the store, because whatever happened, maybe, I don't know what happened, but it appeared there was the commotion and law enforcement were already with that individual. We're waiting right now. We've been booted from the Meijer parking lot. Brett Lemoyne was the first on scene, and as they were taking control of the scene and more officers were coming, Brett was booted across the street. There is a media staging area at the Pick and Save, which is where Brett is currently in the parking lot waiting for law enforcement. We did see, and by we I mean Brett and his image, we saw the police chief quickly on scene from Waukesha, so we know he's inside the Meijer getting all the facts from the people
So let's listen to some of the people that Brett was actually able to speak with who were inside the store.
Last name?
Rachel Nelson.
Nelson. What happened?
I was over in the grocery aisle, and then I was hearing people shout that this guy has a knife, and then I was letting other people know that there was a guy with a knife, and then I saw some cops run over, and then I heard like 4 shots. And, yeah.
Wow. And so who shot? Who shot?
I think one of the police officers did, so
Wow.
yeah.
Scary.
Yeah, I'm a little flustered, so, but yeah, I hope he's okay. And
What's the mood like in the store when this happened?
panic. So, but yeah.
That's an important video, because as you see when he turned, we saw someone being loaded into the ambulance, and you could kind of see their condition there from that interview.
And did you also see the person in the background there who was using a walker, and it seemed to be that person was on the phone, probably connecting to family, friends, saying, hey, this just happened, I'm okay, I'm in the parking lot. A lot of phone calls like that probably were made.
It's 7 o'clock. You're watching Fox 6 here as we are in breaking news. An incident at the Meijer on Sunset, that very busy store. This happened about an hour ago as, according to the witnesses who have come out of the store and talked to our Brett Lemoyne, there appeared to be a commotion. And according to witnesses, there was an individual with a knife, and the witnesses say law enforcement opened fire. We did see one person being loaded into that ambulance, and now they have closed off the Meijer, closed off the parking lot, booted everybody from that area, including our Brett Lemoyne. And any minute now, we are waiting for a press briefing at the Pick and Save, which, if you know the area, it's right there. It's kitty corner across the street.
This is an incredibly busy evening in our newsroom. We started the afternoon with a bombshell announcement from Mandela Barnes that he is suspending his run for governor. That was our top story. Then we got news of a water rescue happening on Lake Michigan in Bender Park. We are pursuing that story. And then into our newsroom, an incident happening inside the Meijer in Waukesha on Sunset. A person with a knife inside the store and gunshots fired. So we are following all 3 of these stories, but right now, we are covering this incident in Waukesha, and we expect a briefing from police any minute now. They're staging at the Pick and Save.
Yeah, and sometimes this happens where you get an alert to say, then go to the media staging area, which we have done, and then you get there and nobody's there. You're the only one standing in the parking lot. So that's happening right now. All our attention is on what happened inside the Meijer, though, out here in Waukesha. So again, I mean, this is the busy shopping time of day. We're talking right after work. Meijer, massive store. It's got a full grocery. It's got the sports department. It's got anything.
It's got the pharmacy. It's got the housewares.
Think of something in your home, you can find it at a Meijer.
The meat department.
And that's important, because as we were hearing from witnesses, we just heard an array of witness testimony, really, straight to our Brett Lemoyne. Some people had no idea. They knew something had happened, but they were walking out almost dazed and confused, like, what happened in there?
Or also calm, because it sounds like police were there, very quickly, and so things seem to be, they got things under control very quickly, and so you didn't see people running from the store. Everyone was walking from the store. You saw a couple folks that actually had their carts. Perhaps they were in the checkout when this all happened and were, had completed their sale, and they were questioned by police. police as they were leaving, but they were calmly walking to their cars. They weren't running, pushing. There was, not that kind of panic.
One woman we talked to was just holding their wine bottle, like still walked out with it. It didn't drop it and run. Didn't seem it was that kind of chaos. But there does appear to be. But I mean, Brett talked to one person who said they had to step over blood. So there is a part of the store that appears to have that kind of more gruesome looking scene to it. But again, on the other side of the store, you may have just heard the commotion from far away and not really understood or known what you had heard. So that is the situation.
And the store is closed. Sometimes when there is an incident, I've been in, stores where maybe a smoke alarm will go off or fire alarm will go off, and the store is evacuated for a little bit, but then the employees are able to, people are able to go back in once the scene is cleared. That's not the case. This is now an investigation, and so the store is closed for this evening. There were not a lot of cars left in the parking lot, so the customers, the employees, everyone told to leave.
Get out of here after giving their witness testimony. Let's hear from someone else that Brett just talked to moments ago.
I don't know. I was shopping and all of a sudden I heard 3 bams and I thought for sure it was a gunshot.
Wow.
And prior to that, several people were screaming and yelling. There was evidently some kind of a very strange man wielding a knife, running around.
Did you see him run by you?
No, I didn't. But a lot of people I talked to did. And I saw him being wheeled out by the police. And he had white face paint on. And he may have had some kind of black makeup along with it.
Oh.
I'm not sure, but he had white face paint and he had blood on his arms. And I don't know if he was shot or if he stabbed someone else or he himself got stabbed.
What do you make of that? What do you make of the face paint? What's behind that?
That's a good question. I said to several people, what's going on with the white face paint? And I don't know.
That woman may have had the best account of what happened inside, maybe getting the best look, giving the best description that we've heard so far this evening. If you're just joining us, no, this is not a time when we are normally on, but we are extending our coverage because of an incident happening in the Meijer in Waukesha on Sunset. This started around 6 or a little bit before then. Police called to respond to something going on in the store, a report of a person with a knife.
And that's when witnesses say it appears officers opened fire. We have not been able to confirm that with the police department. They have sent us across the street to the pick and save as they've shut down the area. So we're still waiting for that press briefing. Every time I'm hearing from the witnesses, you know what they keep telling us? That what this has appeared to have happened very quickly. And that's the picture we have from one of our video of the person who was loaded into the ambulance, and they, as Brett mentioned, were sitting up. But all these people after this incident happened, I mean, complete strangers, what are they doing? Turning and talking to each other and just decompressing what is unfolding before their eyes.
You were talking about a Meijer store, very popular. This, after work, people stopping by maybe to grab a few things on their way in. And you have reports of someone inside the store, not in the parking lot, inside the store with a knife. And then seconds later, you hear gunshots. Some people said they heard 3 shots. Other people thought that perhaps they heard as many as 5 shots. We are waiting to get confirmation. The media is being directed to the pick and save across the street where they will stage, where we'll get an update on exactly what sent police to this Meijer and what happened inside and what we know about the person who had the knife, according to shoppers who were inside.
Yeah, keep this picture up for a second, guys. I just got really close to my screen to see if I could tell. I think it does look like this individual has white face paint on. It's really hard to tell. Hopefully our crew can zoom that picture in there. Is that Brett was interviewing someone, had the camera kind of turned toward the interview subject, and then the person was loaded into the ambulance and the camera got swung around. But look, you can see there is law enforcement escorting this person. That is a police officer holding a rifle. And the people, is that? Okay, that is paramedics who are loading the person in. But look at the police officer escorting the person there on the right as they were loaded into the ambulance.
And we're waiting to find out just how far into the store this person was able to get. Was this person, did the person run in and with the knife, visible right away, or was the person inside the store for some time before that knife appeared? We really don't know, how quickly things transpire, but that's one of the things that we're waiting to find out from Waukesha police, and just when they got the report and how quickly they were on the scene.
And you got to think, if they were in full face paint, white face paint, and they're in the store, that's going to attract attention pretty quickly from the store workers who called. I don't know who called law enforcement, but we do know that law enforcement, when there was the commotion, were there very quickly. It appeared this happened very fast. Not sure if law enforcement was already possibly at the store when this individual arrived. That is a possibility that we are trying to uncover right now. But wow.
I just, if you shop Meijer, it is a huge store. And the people that Brett spoke with, no one seemed to hear any kind of announcement like, shoppers, there's an incident, please leave the store. There wasn't time for that. People, it was just word of mouth, and just the noise that was coming from this scene in the store. First, there were loud voices, and then there were gunshots. People reported hearing that for themselves and making the split-second decision, I got to get out of here. Something's going down. Somebody, something's happening. I hear gunshots. So some folks left from the back of the store. Some folks hid, and others just went out the front and, got to their cars away from whatever was happening inside of that Meijer.
This is the Meijer on Sunset in Waukesha on the southeast corner of the city. I will tell you, according to the images we've seen from Brett, so Sunset, one of the busiest thoroughfares you're going south in Waukesha, it does appear that the road is open, so you're able to get by. You just can't get anywhere near to the Meijer. They're not going to let you in the store or in the parking lot. I'm sorry, what did you guys say?
We now have multiple crews on the scene. Brett has been reporting on his cell phone. He's now connected with a photojournalist, and he's able to power back up and bring us up to speed on what's been happening this last hour. Brett Lemoyne, this is again, we're pulling the curtain. This is what happens. You get on the scene, you white balance, and then you're ready to go. We focus. This is live. This is happening right now. So forgive us if this isn't as polished as you're used to, but we're establishing audio and so that he can hear us. And Brett, when you can hear us, give us a thumbs up. You got it. Okay, so Brett, you are now across the street. Bring us up to speed when you got on scene and what you learned right off the bat.
Sure, yeah. It was just around 6 o'clock that I had arrived on scene here, Kim, and as soon as I pulled into the Meijer parking lot, it was evident that something massive was taking place, because there were at least 10, maybe more, City of Waukesha police squads in the parking lot here at the Meijer behind me. We also spotted sheriff's deputy squads as well, and Wisconsin State Patrol. We heard from a number of shoppers as they were leaving the store that they described what they believed to be gunshots that went off inside Meijer. They described hearing about or seeing themselves a man running through the store with a knife. One woman told us that man had covered his face in white
paint or makeup or some sort of white substance that was concealing his face. We saw, as soon as I got out, within about 5 minutes, we saw an individual being placed in the back of an ambulance. That ambulance then took off right away. I just got some viewer video of that that someone else had taken from that exact moment. What is I can describe to you is it looks like that individual had some bleeding around his knee or leg. He was placed in the back of the ambulance. He appeared to be upright. I zoomed in on the video because it's very hard to tell. It did look like there was something on his face, but I can't say for sure. We're hearing from so many people that were leaving the store, Ben and Kim, saying either they were in a part of the store where they heard something, they knew something was going on, but they just went about their shopping. Others, presumably closer to the epicenter of what was taking place, who described something much more gruesome, saying there was blood on the floor inside Meijer. One woman saying she had to step over it to seek shelter. Another woman saying she hid herself in the store because she knew that she heard what she believed to be gunshots and just was not sure what was taking place. All of those individuals, Ben and Kim, as they left the store, had to go by a Waukesha police officer first. Those officers were taking statements from each individual that was leaving. Some simply said, I have no idea what was going on. Others gave much more detailed accounts, like what we heard live here on Fox 6 from that woman saying there was a man with face paint on.
Right, it was odd that people were allowed to leave so quickly. You would think that they might be held, for some time as officers got to speak with everyone who was in the store, but that didn't seem to be the case. A lot of folks were leaving.
A lot of folks were leaving, but again, Kim, important to stress, right? There's 2 entrances and exits. Stationed at each of those were Waukesha police officers. We saw that live where they had notebooks. They were taking notes. They were asking each person that came out of the store what they saw. I don't know, but I can assume perhaps if there was someone who had a more detailed account that they were getting that contact information from them. I don't know, but I would say the individuals who were leaving the store presumably were the ones that had lesser knowledge to the event than someone who was perhaps closer to it.
I thought it was really interesting when you mentioned, you're one of the first people to arrive. So your car is in the parking lot. Eventually you get booted.
Yeah.
So you got to move your car.
Right.
Talk about your journey just going across the street to the Pick and Save, where again, we're awaiting that police briefing at some point.
Yeah, sure. Well, the intersection behind me here is Sunset and Tenney, and as you already pointed out, it is a heavily trafficked area. We've got Meijer behind me. We're in the parking lot right now of Pick and Save, and just behind Pick and Save is Waukesha South High School. So you can imagine the number, even during the summer, of people who, after work, are going to Meijer to shop, going to Pick and Save to shop. Obviously, Sunset is a major thoroughfare through the city of Waukesha. Normally, because I shop here at Meijer, I've been here many times. Normally, just leaving the parking lot and getting onto Sunset is, maybe 60 seconds. That was not the case today, Ben, because as I left, in addition to what those shoppers were seeing when they left the store, getting to those checkpoints with the officers before they were able to leave, no one was able to drive out of the parking lot either, because there were deputies or Waukesha police officers stationed at all of the entrances and exits to the parking lot as well. And each person that I encountered, and there were 2 of them, 2 checkpoints that I had to get through just to leave, at each of those checkpoints, the either officer or deputy stated to me, hey, did you talk? Did you give a statement? Did you speak with police? I had to explain why I was here for Fox 6, so I was not inside the store when this happened. So to answer your question, Kim, there was multiple points for individuals who were in the store who presumably would have witnessed something to speak with law enforcement officials and give official statements.
So they were not getting out without making contact with officials as they're investigating this. Brett, so this all started taking people back 6 o'clock this evening, and we've been waiting for about 45 minutes or so for officials to give a briefing on exactly what happened. But we know it was sometime around 6 o'clock that there was some kind of disturbance inside of the store.
Yeah, probably a little before 6 o'clock, because again, I got on scene at around that time, but we do know just based on what we've heard on the scanner, the police scanners and other means, that there was something that had transpired maybe a few minutes before that. As our viewers are aware, and as you are aware, just before we were here, we were at the Dairy Queen on Racine Avenue doing a whole other story. That is just a few blocks away from where I'm standing right now, so I was able to get here very, very fast. And again, I was surprised. The shoppers that we talked to were surprised when they left the store, went into the parking lot, and saw what was very realistically more than a dozen squads, both at the city level and at the county level, and state patrol as well, out there in the parking lot with the fire department, a full engine in the parking lot as well, and an ambulance.
Some of our other information is coming from folks that you spoke to in the parking lot. If our producers are able to cue that sound up.
Can we actually, before we get to the sound, because I just want to get Brett's take on this, the most bizarre thing so far to me, guys, is the white face paint. And Brett, it was so interesting. Yeah. If we can pull the photo up of the still. Brett, you were talking to a woman, so just to get your perspective when this happened, and that's when this person came out from the store, and we see him here. We got the picture pulled up on the ambulance. I'm like leaning into the screen. It's a little hard to tell, but it does look like there's something on their face there.
Yeah, that's right. And she gave a kind of a secondhand account and as well as a firsthand account. Ben, if you'll recall, she said she heard that this man was running through the store with a knife, but then later saw the man with white face paint on his face. So obviously a very scary situation for the people that are inside. No one has any idea. The half dozen or so people that we spoke with live on air had no idea what motivated this or what was behind this or what caused someone to conceal their identity and walk into a Meijer of all places with a knife. But that is kind of the through line that we're hearing. It was chaos described by one shopper as that was taking place. They see the rush of police coming in. Multiple people say they heard gunshots, some as many as 5 gunshots that they heard, and we're always very leery about those types of accounts, Ben. As you know, both you and Kim being in the field, sometimes people think they hear more gunshots than actually were fired. Sometimes there's an echo. You can understand that there could potentially be an echo of sound in a store like that when you have metal shelving and other merchandise that's around you. So we take that with some hesitation here as to how many gunshots, but almost universally the folks that we talked to said that they heard multiple gunshots here inside the store.
And we also want to exercise that same caution with the face paint, because we only heard one person say that. So we're waiting for information on confirmation if that actually was the case. But Brett, we do have you, but I do want to get back to that sound from the people who were inside the store, if we're able to share some of that right now.
I was over in the grocery aisle, and then I was hearing people shout that this guy has a knife, and then I was letting other people know that there was a guy with a knife, and then I saw some cops run over, and then I heard like 4 shots. And, yeah.
Wow. And so who shot? Who shot?
I think one of the police officers did, so
Wow.
yeah.
Scary.
I'm a little flustered, so, but yeah, I hope he's okay. And
What's
yeah,
the mood like in the store when this happened?
panic. So, but yeah.
So there's that picture again
Yeah,
of that
so
one. Excuse me, go ahead, Brett.
No, I was just saying, yeah, we've heard so many of those firsthand accounts, Kim, so far tonight. Again, we're waiting to hear from law enforcement. We should point out that the City of Waukesha Police Chief, Dan Thompson, is here. He is on scene. We did see him consulting with some of the officers here. As you've already pointed out, you know, there is some noteworthiness to the fact that there are multiple law enforcement agencies who are here at the scene as well. As Ben had mentioned, that is usually indicative of some type of officer-involved shooting. You would assume that because we are here in the city of Waukesha, that this is Waukesha's jurisdiction and would not necessarily otherwise involve the county sheriff's department or state patrol. Obviously, that is not the case. We can pretty safely assume that that is because of the severity of this particular incident.
Yeah, and they all train for shootings inside of large stores. And so if just the call on the radio of shots being fired going out, or whether it doesn't matter who fired them, is going to probably get a big response from area law enforcement of all sorts of different agencies.
And later we will, find out if there was actually security in the store. Some stores have security, and if that personnel had any involvement in what was going on, we don't know. But we're just waiting, and so we're just thankful that what we know, what we saw, there was only one transport, medical transport.
That's correct. Yeah, from what I saw as soon as I first arrived on scene, just that one transport. Again, we have those stills that we were showing our audience and that Ben was describing here that seemed to indicate and corroborate the one woman's account of there being something on this particular individual's face. But again, we exercise caution in that because we have not heard that been confirmed from law enforcement.
Right, we don't technically know who this person is going loading into the ambulance, but Brett, we can see in your video, not in this picture, but the wider one, this person was escorted. There's a police officer in this screen grab, this is from your video, of a police officer with a large gun. Mm-hmm. Like, this person was being escorted by officers to the ambulance.
Yeah, and we also saw, Ben, just before I left the parking lot, or I should say before we were kicked out of the Meijer parking lot, I did see what appeared to be from a distance a Wisconsin State Patrol trooper, as notified by the hat that he was wearing, escorting a group of people out of the building. It appeared to be a family of sorts. There were people of all different ages. There were young kids that were with them as well. Presumably, they may have witnessed or been closer to the particular scene than what some of the other individuals that we spoke with live on the air with. But again, just going back to the fact that law enforcement was making sure that they were able to get all of those folks, as soon as they could, questioned and get statements from each of them before they left the property.
All right, Brett Lemoyne, and we can't say you were on the scene. You had just your cell phone, and you were able to just get those images, the very first images that we were getting from the scene. So appreciative of what you've been able to do. We're going to clear you so that you can go do some more information gathering, but we do have multiple crews on the scene there in Waukesha.
Let's get out to Christina Van Zelst, where Brett is. Can we remind everybody why you're standing in the Pick and Save parking lot?
Yeah, Ben and Kim, we are at the Pick and Save parking lot that's right across the street from that Meijer This is what the parking lot looks like now. So we are under the impression that this is where a potential media briefing will be at this parking lot. A lot of other stations are arriving now as well. So we're set up here as we await for some sort of update from law enforcement. And again, that is the Meijer across the street. This is at Tenney Avenue at that intersection, and we are at the media staging. As you heard from Brett Lemoyne, he was in the Meijer parking lot, and then law enforcement officers made him move away from the scene, and now that is why we are catty corner to the Meijer at the Pick and Save. And from this vantage point, it's really hard to tell what exactly is the update in the investigation and what the parking lot looks like. We're a bit far back, but again, we are hoping to hear from Waukesha police or some sort of official update. Again, this is across the street here at the Pick and Save parking lot, where we are waiting for an official update from law enforcement, police, whoever will be providing that update for us. So that's kind of what things look like here across the street. No law enforcement in this parking lot just yet. The Walgreens parking lot looks like the standard Walgreens parking lot, so no law enforcement over there either, just really blocking off that area into the Meijer parking lot across the street there.
And so that means it could be a while, because usually in cases like this, you start to see a command post or some kind of staging that indicates that someone's going to be available in the near future to give some information on what's going on. But instead, it appears that everyone has been moved really far back off the Meijer premises, and now we're just waiting for police to come over to the media.
What's so interesting about this, Kim, you and I have been on so many scenes. This is in the Meijer, so they've got it contained just because it's inside of the store, right. But they've still booted us off of Meijer's private property across the street, and they'll often do this, set up a media staging area kind of away from the scene, so our cameras are looking in now. But the images, and we're showing you from Brett what they look like. It's officers parked in front of the two entrances. But this is the busy Meijer right there on Sunset, right in the southeast part of Waukesha, that massive store. And again, one witness telling us that this individual, as he was leaving on the stretcher, appeared to have white face paint on his face and then was loaded into the ambulance. I'll just keep reminding people the good news here: we haven't seen any other ambulances show up. We haven't seen a sort of, Brett was there minutes after this happened, and there was not this chaotic scene outside of the Meijer, which was really impressive because, Kim, we were talking to these witnesses as they're coming out for something they had just experienced, and everyone kept their cool and seemed so calm. I give everybody so much credit because they talked about how terrifying it was to be inside that store.
Yeah, and we're working to confirm exactly who that is or what relationship this person has to what was going on inside. We don't know if this is the person who had the knife or if this was a customer who perhaps was injured. We don't know. So we want to caution that we are still in the very early stages of finding out what happened. But we can tell you is that the Meijer is closed on Sunset. This is a crime scene. There was a person inside and there were shots fired, we believe, by Waukesha police. Brett Lemoyne says as people were leaving, there were, you could call them checkpoints. Officers were at the entrances asking shoppers if they heard, if they saw anything. As they were leaving the parking lot, they were stopped again, asked, were you inside? Did you see anything? Do you know, what do you know? So there will be a lot of information, potentially dozens of witnesses to what happened inside.
All of the workers who were inside of the store, they are potential witnesses. And some of the crucial witnesses will be law enforcement themselves. What did they see? What did they experience? And if, in fact, it was a police officer who fired a weapon inside the Meijer, that adds a whole nother layer of the investigation. Christina, I want to ask you, because I think you can see from your perspective, you know, this is such a busy intersection, but if you're driving by, you almost can't tell, it appears, what's going on, because there's no traffic stops in the intersection. It looks like people can move freely.
Yeah, Ben, the intersection is operating as normal. And I know you, Kim, and Brett were talking about just how big these Meijer stores are and how big of an area that they have blocked off currently. I was trying to zoom in, so if you can see the police blocking off down there, that is pretty far away from where I'm standing. And then to show you the other side of the parking lot that they have also blocked off. It's a big area, so if you're driving through this intersection, traffic is not impacted at this point. It seems like they do have it contained to the Meijer parking lot itself, and as we know, they moved everybody out of that area to be back away as they investigate the situation. I'll try to zoom in as far as I can on my phone here. But there you can see some people leaving the parking lot. Not sure if those are shoppers who maybe have been cleared from their interviews, if that's what's going on. And here we have the Sheriff's Department also leaving the scene, Waukesha County Sheriff's Department. So some people coming out of that lot, but obviously nobody going in. The intersection, though, is operating as normal, as there's no traffic cones or law enforcement directing people elsewhere.
Christina, yeah, I mean, they've got that entire lot. They've got control of that, and it is private property. So that is why they were able to shove media and everyone else off of the lot, because this is Meijer's property. And so as long as this is an investigation, Meijer really can keep us off the property until this is reached its conclusion. I'm joined now by Ted Perry. We're going to stay with you throughout the evening as we wait for information. But Ted, you've been watching this situation unfold. 6 o'clock this afternoon, Meijer.
As soon as I left the set at 5 o'clock and walked into the newsroom, we were getting alerts from Brett Lemoyne saying, hey, I'm out at the Meijer here and something is going down. And he's done a remarkable job talking to people. And you mentioned this and Ben mentioned it. Almost in a nonplussed way, people were coming out saying, yeah, I heard 3 shots, and and they were not blasé about it, but they were very calm.
Right.
More than I might be had I been witness to, or at least heard a violent incident like that. So.
But it very much sounds like police were on the scene very quickly.
And again, we want to go back to why they might have been there. This white face paint. And we have one woman. I mean, many of the people Brett spoke with heard the shot, didn't see anything. This one woman in particular gave this very almost creepy description of a person running through the store. We don't know that that's a person. I want to keep pointing that out.
We don't
That person
know.
was put in an ambulance. We don't know if they were injured by a person inside, what their deal is. But if you look at the face, it does appear to be some sort of white makeup.
And we also heard about gunshots. So it's really hard at this point because it's very early. If that was the person, we just don't know the extent, what kind of injury that person suffered and what's going on there. So that's why it's critical that we get this update from police. They originally said that they were staging and that we would get some kind of update around 6:30 or so. That doesn't seem to be the case. Where Christina is, there doesn't seem to be any kind of movement.
Well, they got to come together, right? You have several officers out there at all the exits talking to all these people. Then they're getting together to compare notes. What did this person see? Who actually saw this? Who actually heard this? They're being fairly meticulous in going through all this. Do we wish they would come on the air right now with a news conference? Of course we do. But they are taking their time to all compare notes to say, all right, this person heard 3 shots, this person heard this many shots, this person saw a guy with white face paint, this person didn't. I don't know what they're telling police, but they're putting their notes together now before they come out. I mean, this is how an investigation is done. It's not done on TV time, it's done on police time.
On their time.
Yeah, and we should appreciate that. But can I go back to this white face paint for a second? Now, look. We don't know if it was sunblock. Sometimes this time of year, people with pretty pale skin have very thick zinc-based sunblock. I'm not saying that's what it was. I'm just trying to give all possibilities out there. But I also did a little research because it struck me like it struck you guys about white face paint. And often in music and subcultures, it's called corpse paint. Heavy metal bands often use white face paint to look like corpses, demons, or supernatural beings. The goth and alternative fashion, a pale or white base, provides a striking theatrical look that rejects natural skin tones. Also used by clowns to create extreme facial expressions. So there's a lot of reasons why a person may be wearing white face paint, some more sinister than others, some more explainable, but we kind of went that rabbit hole as soon as I heard that from that witness, Kim.
But we didn't hear anyone say, I saw a person run in with a knife, I saw a confrontation, I saw a person being tackled. We didn't hear that. The ear witnesses that Brett spoke with said they heard a commotion, and next they heard gunshots. So that's what we know. And he did speak to one woman who said maybe the closest, maybe she was an eyewitness and an ear witness, saying that she stepped over blood.
Yeah. Whose blood? We don't know, obviously, at this point. But this is a live look at the scene as police are taking control, but not shutting down, but taking control of the scene. Obviously, the Meijer is shut down, as we've mentioned. But there's a lot of speculation on social media, but we're not social media here, so we're going to separate the wheat from the chaff and not report, what certain people heard on a scanner, because that's not confirmable information right now. But you can see a crowd is gathering. Obviously, people are curious, as anyone watching right now is curious as to what actually happened inside that Meijer shortly after 6 o'clock tonight. It's been about an hour and a half, a little more than that. Has Christina said when they were hoping to bring us a news briefing?
She is waiting like we are. The original notice that was sent to our newsroom is that this briefing would be happening sometime in the 6 o'clock hour. We're now approaching the 8 o'clock hour, and we're still waiting for information on what exactly happened. This is, we believe, a critical incident, and so that means an officer has discharged his or her weapon. And so when authorities do give the briefing, they want to make sure that they have as much information as they're able to release, that they've got that information available before they, entertain the media and give a briefing. So that's what we're waiting for.
And you'd have to think if there was a sense of urgency on police, they would be saying, avoid this area. We're looking for X person dressed this way. We haven't heard any of that from police. So you have to think the situation has been contained in that Meijer store. You hope that's the case anyway. But I'm pretty sure Waukesha police would have said by now, hey, stay very far away. We got someone on the loose and we can't find him. That's not the case. So that leads us to believe that they are just going through their notes, comparing what witness statements gave them. And, it's always interesting when you talk about witnesses. I heard this, and that person can be easily swayed by another person who's, I heard too. No,
I didn't hear this. Another person heard it, and they told me what they heard.
That's what you got to be real careful of.
And that's what we are being very careful of.
We're trying not to play the telephone game.
Right. But this is the fact that the store is closed. It's not evacuated. Sometimes, unfortunately, if you've, been in a situation and there's a shoplifter and there's some kind of altercation, maybe the store, may evacuate folks for a little bit, but it reopens and goes on about its business. It's very rare that something happens in a store and the store closes for the evening. And so that's why we are continuing our coverage, because something significant did happen here.
Absolutely, for sure. And you've got to think of all the surveillance video store as a store of Meijer size. I mean, I walked from the newsroom to here. I passed 3 security cameras, right?
Exactly.
Just think of walking down the shelves of a mega store like that, how many cameras they have to be. So I'm sure somebody from WPD right now is going through those images to see when this person came into the store, how they were dressed at the time. Did they go to the makeup counter and get white face paint? Did they come in the store that way? Was it really indeed white face paint? Again, could have been sunblock. We don't know. We're going on what one witness saw, but it is a creepy enough detail that we do keep coming back to.
That we're going to ask about that. If you were in the store, the Meijer on Sunset, and have some information, please call our newsroom. We want to talk to you to find out what you saw, what you heard. it had to be a very frightening situation if you were in the Meijer. So please call the Fox 6 Newsroom if you were at the Meijer and can offer any more information as we wait for police.
Go to our Facebook page, too, our Fox 6 Facebook page, if you want to pipe in there or send us a message on there. We have our assignment editors who are monitoring that traffic as well. But we got Brett Lemoyne out there, who was really Johnny on the spot. I mean, did Brett even say why he was at that Meijer? Was he just
Well, he was
picking up
down the
something?
street actually covering another story.
Okay.
Dairy Queen, it's their
yes,
Blizzards.
Yes, they're hoping to raise a lot of money.
Raised a lot of money for
leukemia research.
Right, Children's Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So he was down the street when the scanner traffic, the alerts that police are responding to the Meijer on Sunset. So he was, in the right place, was there in the parking lot and was able to get that video. We saw that one person receiving some medical treatment and also able to talk to people as they were leaving. And some of the people that he spoke to, they had their carts.
Mm-hmm.
They got what they wanted.
Yeah. A little shaken.
Not
Not terribly.
Right.
I mean, nobody was panicked. Nobody was, I can't believe what I just saw. But it'd be unsettling to be shopping and to hear gunshots
and
2, 3, 4 aisles over.
And when you're shopping with someone else, the tendency is for you're over here, and the person you came in with is over here. And so for something to happen in that kind of environment, you're not only worried about yourself, but you want to connect with the person that you came with. Where are they? Where are they? And so you can imagine that was happening inside this Meijer.
We do have sound from that Brett Lemoyne gathered earlier, and people might just be tuning in. It's a beautiful night. They might have been out at a kid's Little League game or something, or gone out to dinner. And I'm just asking the booth if we can get some of those initial witness accounts ready to go. If that's a possibility, we'd love to get people back up to speed on what witnesses at least heard and that one woman saw. Don't know if that's possible, but I'm just putting in that request right now.
And I don't know, Meijer is a corporation, and so that their corporate crisis team has been notified, and so there may be some coordination too that maybe Meijer wants to get someone on the scene as well to appear with police in discussing what went on here, because Meijer wants to make sure that people feel safe in their stores. And so they, I'm sure we're going to hear from them. And so maybe that's what we're waiting for.
Right. We've already reached out to them and are waiting to hear back on that. But that's a very good point, Kim. You got to, I don't want to say spin, you've got to account for what happened in your store. And I think they want to come out and say, something happened. We're not going to put metal detectors on all our stores, of course. But look how quickly we got someone there. Look how quickly one of our employees noticed something, called police. Speculation here. We don't know how police were alerted. I'm just saying this is the type of presentation they would want to give on this. That it is. This is the reality, and it's been the reality for a long time. There isn't any place immune from this. It's not our churches. It's not our movie theaters. It's not our sporting events, unless you go to a professional one and you go through a metal detector. It's not at a kid's baseball game. It's not in the classroom, unfortunately. Everywhere I just mentioned, there have been several incidents of people attacking other people, either with a gun or a knife.
And this is the second incident at a Meijer. There is just a couple days ago, I believe, that there was a shooting inside of a Meijer in Detroit involving a shoplifter. And so for this to come on the heels of another incident at Meijer, again, you would understand why that might be some of the reason that we're waiting, because Meijer perhaps wants to have someone on scene to be briefed first before the public is briefed.
It's a fair point. It's a very fair point. And they wouldn't wait for them if there was a sense of urgency.
Exactly.
They would say, hey, you deal with your media your way. We got to deal with the media now. We need the media to say, hey, we're looking for this person. So far, they haven't done that. We've tried Waukesha County Sheriff's Department as well. They have politely told us this is a city of Waukesha thing. Our crews are there only for traffic enforcement. This is a Waukesha police case, and they are on it, and they can see Squads as far as the eye can see right there. I don't know how many units in total they have, but a great many of them are at this Meijer in southwestern Waukesha right now on Sunset Drive.
So the entire store is closed and the parking lot is closed off to the public. So this is a pretty big area that authorities are securing as they continue this investigation. We talked about security cameras in stores. That is probably the first thing that investigators have gotten their hands on, is to see what exactly happened. We don't know if this happened at the front of the store, how deep in the store, if this person ran in, all the questions that we're going to ask when we do hear from authorities.
Someday, I don't think it's going to be tomorrow, it's not going to be the day after tomorrow, but someday soon, we will see the path of this person from the parking lot where there are cameras, through the entrance where there are cameras, down the aisle or to the dressing room, wherever they went, where there are cameras, not in the dressing room, of course, but leading up to that area of the dressing room. So we take a look again. The area itself not shut down. There is a heavy law enforcement presence there because they want to make sure that there aren't too many gawkers, there aren't too many people stopping alongside the road to say what's going on, to keep the traffic moving as normally as possible. But they're not stopping anyone from coming in and out of that intersection, which is a pretty busy intersection, as we've mentioned.
You can't believe you're in a Meijer and you hear gunshots. That's something that you're not supposed to hear.
Right.
And people just, but we're hearing from those witnesses that first there was some kind of commotion. They heard, they heard something before they heard the shot. So just very unsettling. Some of the people that Brett spoke with you got the sense that they were shaken up. They were calm, and you got the sense that they felt safe. And there wasn't any kind of sense of that they felt in danger, but shaken up. If you're inside a store and you hear gunshots or anything like that, your nerves are probably on edge.
Right. And we have tried calling the store itself, not just Meijer corporate. No one answered when our assignment editor did call. And we have reached out to Meijer for a statement. And we are putting together a bunch of the interviews that Brett did. So stay with us here because we want to make sure that you can hear all of those and get the best information possible. And that comes from people who are inside that store. 7:49 now, well past the time when we first thought we'd hear from police. But again, they're on police schedule. They're not on a TV schedule, and nor should they be.
We do have some of that sound of people that Brett spoke with. Let's listen.
I don't know. I was shopping and all of a sudden I heard 3 bams and I thought for sure it was a gunshot.
Wow.
And prior to that, several people were screaming and yelling. There was evidently some kind of a very strange man wielding a knife, running around.
Did you see him run by you?
No, I didn't. But a lot of people I talked to did. And I saw him being wheeled out by the police. And he had white face paint on. And he may have had some kind of black makeup along with it.
Oh.
I'm not sure, but he had white face paint and he had blood on his arms. And I don't know if he was shot or if he stabbed someone else or he himself got stabbed.
What do you make of that? What do you make of the face paint? What's behind that?
That's a good question. I said to several people, what's going on with the white face paint? And I don't know.
And again, that was about at 6:20 when Brett Lemoyne interviewed that woman. And here is a person being put into an ambulance, a person who does appear to have white paint, cream, sunblock, not sure, on their face. We don't know if this person was a victim. We don't know if this person was the suspect. So I want to tell you what we know and what we don't know, so you don't think we're jumping to conclusions here. But that description she gave of the black eyeliner under the white, with the white face paint, don't know the reason for that. Again, some subcultures Metal bands use white face paint to look like corpses, demons, supernatural beings. There's golf, there's alternative fashion. A white face base provides a striking theatrical look that rejects natural skin tones. Again, some circus performers wear them. They're done for many different reasons. We have no idea why that person, if they indeed were wearing white makeup, why they had that on them.
And waiting for some of that information to be provided by investigators. But we can tell you that this started shortly before 6 o'clock at the Meijer on Sunset. Meijer is a huge store. If you've ever shopped them, they're all the same. They've got your housewares, your groceries, your pharmacy, you name it, it's there. And so this is a pretty big store, and something happened in that store. People coming out say they heard a commotion, they heard gunshots. They heard from other shoppers that there was somebody in there with a knife.
Let's bring back in Brett Lemoyne, who did such an amazing job on his cell phone providing pictures and interviews. Now he is with one of our photojournalists. What are you hearing from your sources about a media briefing, or are they not even able to tell you that?
So I've reached out to a number of law enforcement sources, both on the city side and the county side as well, and we're still waiting to hear back. Ted, we understand that there is a media briefing that will take place here at the Pick and Save parking lot, which is just across the street from Meijer. We were told that more than an hour ago now, and we're still waiting for that. I think one thing to make sure that we're very clear with our viewers is who is there, who is on scene. We've seen the Waukesha police chief speaking with his officers on scene. He went back into the Meijer, so presumably he is still on scene with them right now. We've also seen county deputies in the parking lot and Wisconsin State Patrol, so it's a very large police presence that is here and remains to be here at this hour. Of course, as you mentioned already, Meijer, the store, is closed to the public. There's still a lot of activity going on inside the store in terms of law enforcement, but no one is getting in or out of the parking lot unless you go through multiple, for lack of better words, security checkpoints with these officers.
You did a really amazing job just talking to people as they exited the store after this incident, whatever indeed it was. What struck you the most from all the witness accounts that you got?
I think it was the juxtaposition, Ted, of some folks who left the store not really knowing the full extent of what was going on, to the point where they were checking out their merchandise at the checkout and just kind of casually leaving the store and not realizing something had happened until they were met with those officers at the entrances and exits. And then the other group of people who came out shaking and very frightened as to what had happened, who had witnessed to somewhat of an extent what was taking place inside the store. One woman saying she had to step over some blood that had pooled on the floor at Meijer. We saw a number of people from elderly individuals to young children leaving the store, all very shaken, particularly the ones that saw at least part of this.
Happening inside of a store. You talked about the elderly. I saw a person in the video that you shot. Person was on a walker on their phone, and you just imagine their fear, just trying to get to safety.
Yeah, and Kim, one woman told us, an elderly woman, she said she was there shopping for school supplies. She didn't end up getting to the school supplies because of what had happened. I actually just heard from a very close friend of mine from high school who told me her mom was inside the store when this happened. Her mom heard the gunshots. She heard someone else yell, "We got to get out of the store." And then my friend's mom just took everything that she had left, the merchandise that she hadn't paid for, and left the store. So obviously, yeah, I mean, this is not something that anyone expects to encounter when they go into any public place. But certainly there were a lot of folks that were here. This was right after close of business for a lot of folks. A lot of people getting off of work, coming to the store, picking up groceries, school supplies, as we heard from that particular woman that I just referenced a moment ago. And then to encounter this is quite a shock.
Well, that would be the most surreal thing, and we're going to see this on surveillance video eventually. There were people checking out and they're kind of probably going to continue that transaction just as the shots were happening, and then they were like, what the heck, and got out of there. It had to be a very surreal moment for them. Like, I would have done what your friend's mom did and just dropped the merchandise and got out of the store.
Yeah. Well, we heard from folks, Ted, that said they weren't even sure that it was gunshots. They heard some noise, and it wasn't enough to prompt them to go about any differently. Important to point out, of course, as we have already this evening, Meijer's a very big store. There are 2 entrances on both sides of this building, so there could have been someone in the grocery side, which is the far, looking at it, the far left side of the building, that maybe was closer to it than others. I don't know. We don't know where it happened, but what I'm trying to point out is that it's a wide area here. You could have been at an opposite end of the store from what was happening and maybe didn't quite fully understand or hear the full extent of what was taking place.
And Kim brought up a good point earlier. Not everyone has heard a gunshot up close. We've seen them in the movies. We've seen them on TV.
Sure.
I've been to a number of gun ranges in my time, and one in Waukesha recently, as a matter of fact. But unless you hear it for the first time, it can be startling. Your brain doesn't automatically go gunshot. You might go, oh, that sounds like a couple pallets falling off of a truck or something.
If we could continue to talk with Brett, but take Christina Van Zyl's shot. She's closer now, and we can see a group of authorities, officials gathered at the entrance. There appears to be some kind of briefing that is going on there. So we are a little bit closer, and this looks to be a new development. City of Waukesha Fire and Police, like their comm center is there.
Their mobile command unit for sure. That is now the de facto headquarters for them right now. Christina Van Zyl is right next to this photojournalist. Tell us more about the scene. You're there.
Hey, Ted and Kim. Yeah, so we are across the street from where Brett is stationed at the media center, and we are now seeing the command center, and as you mentioned, that group of law enforcement people gathered. It looks like they're maybe having some sort of debrief or meeting, and we've been talking about how widespread this is just because of how big this store is. I'm going to have Johnny, the photojournalist I'm standing next to, kind of zoom out and show you each of the entrances. They have police vehicles at both sides of the store. It's not clear exactly what part of Meijer this investigation is taking place at or where exactly this went down in the store. Just based on what we're seeing, there is, again, those police vehicles on both entrances, and we heard from the people that Brett talked to earlier that some people were leaving out of the side doors and back doors when they heard what they described as gunshots. So again, it looks like if we could zoom in, Johnny, to the group of law enforcement kind of meeting there at the command center. That's the City of Waukesha's police communications sort of mobile unit where they bring those to larger scenes to have a place for them to have a debrief like this. And we are still waiting for an official word on when there will be some type of media update. Again, that is where Brett Lemoyne is stationed across the street. Have not heard a time frame for that at this point, but nobody is in the parking lot. It's very quiet from where we are at. We're standing in the Panda Express parking lot across the street. On the sidewalk there, they have every single entrance of this parking lot currently blocked off from people driving in or out. So that is what we're seeing now. Again, very quiet. We haven't heard much from this vantage point, but obviously law enforcement still here and having some sort of meeting at that command center.
So just to be clear, you're in the same parking lot as the Pick and Save, right? And we're looking across the street at the Meijer.
So we are actually catty corner to the Pick and Save.
Okay.
So we are The pick and save is that way,
Gotcha.
Johnny. Maybe we can just show our viewers where they have the media set up. So the Meijer's behind us, and then if you go caddy corner, there's the Walgreens, and then across the street again, it's a little bit hard to see, but that's where the media staging is across the intersection here. So we are closer to the Meijer specifically. We walked over here. Again, they have the streets blocked off to get in, but we are across the street on public property as investigators have the streets blocked off to vehicles. So hopefully that gives you a little bit better of a perspective of where everything is set up and also how widespread it is.
Christina, we saw the grouping of investigators at that one entrance. Are they also, were there vehicles at the other entrance? Did I see that? Like police vehicles?
Yeah, so we can show you. Yeah, let's show you. So this entrance right here is where they are mobilized, the command unit kind of in the center. And I know it's a little bit hard to see over this sheriff's deputy's vehicle, but there are officers and cars on the other entrance too. So that command center is pretty much in the middle of the Meijer. And it looks like there's more vehicles with their lights on at the right side of the store from where we're facing, but there is law enforcement really spread out throughout this parking lot.
Wow, and they're not letting anyone on the premises if you are not part of this investigation. Does it appear that the cars that are left, does it look like people had to leave their cars, or could there possibly be store employees still inside?
You know, that is a possibility. There are a lot of vehicles still in this parking lot, potentially workers who maybe are still talking to investigators, and that's not really clear. But if you kind of take a wide shot at the parking lot, there are still dozens of vehicles in this parking lot. So Kim, that's a great question, and it's based on where I'm standing, there is not a lot of urgency at this point of nobody's running. It seems like things have calmed down a bit, and maybe this is where their investigation is happening, where they're looking at what led up to this incident. So it's not feeling quite as urgent as it did when Brett Lemoyne first got to the scene. He was the first person here to cover this, but at this point things have calmed down just a bit. But yeah, as you can see, there's still a lot of vehicles in the parking lot. So maybe police are talking to witnesses or employees who might work at this store.
I have to think that might very well be the case because there were people working inside there clearly. Obviously, they might have had the best vantage point. Mm-hmm. They know the store. They know if they say a commotion in aisle 8, they know where aisle 8 is, starting over there. Are there onlookers? We've seen some people gathered by the side of the periphery of the parking lot there in a different shot. Are you seeing many people gathered there?
We are seeing people gathered here. Actually, we'll show you them because we were trying to talk to them to see. I was wanting to know, were they inside the store when this happened? Did they hear anything? People have been kind of watching across the street, and everyone I asked actually saw this, saw the coverage of this happening and came down to watch the scene. So there are people in the area doing so. Again, they're farther away, so they're not necessarily in the way of investigators doing their thing, but there are some people standing out here watching as Waukesha police do their thing.
Christina, thank you. We want to go back to some of the people that were inside the store when this all happened shortly before 6. I think we've got some of that sound now ready. If we could share that with you.
This is sound you haven't heard before. We want to be clear. We're not just playing the same old sound bites again. This is fresh witness accounts.
Do you know what happened?
I heard a bunch of screaming, yelling, back and forth. And I heard somebody say, hey, he has a knife. And then I heard gunshots. Then I ran.
How many gunshots?
5.
Wow. What was the mood like inside the store? Was it panic?
No, everybody, it was like no one knew what was going on. And then, yeah, then people started moving a little faster to somewhere else.
Any idea what transpired with this man with the knife?
No.
Pretty scary, though.
Yeah, I'm really scared.
Yeah. From what I understand, they've closed the store now. They're telling people to get out.
I don't know. I got out the back way a long time ago, so I don't know what's going on now.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad you're safe.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah.
That was one of them there. I think we have a couple more. Or perhaps we don't. Oh, here's another one.
FOX6, can you tell me what transpired?
I was shopping, buying some apples, and all of a sudden we heard a couple of loud noises and somebody screaming. And another lady and I ditched off into the meat department behind the counter because we heard a gunshot and we heard somebody screaming, "Get out, get out, get out of the way." Yeah, that's what we did.
What was going through your mind?
I had no idea what was happening. I thought there's a problem here because there were so many store employees running towards the back, and we were up towards the front, so we didn't really know. But when they say, "Get out, get out, get out," to whoever it was, probably another customer, we just moved as quickly as we could back to the meat department and hid behind the counter so that we'd be out of sight.
I can tell you're out of breath. This has affected
it was
you.
Scary because I just walked through at least 12 different policemen that helped control the group and told us we had to leave. And I haven't shopped. I went for school supplies and I didn't get any, but
Oh, gosh.
I thank them for being there. The police are definitely, look how many police cars are here and how many people rushed to help us all get out and to keep us safe. So
Yeah.
pray for them.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you're okay, ma'am. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Fine, thank you.
Can you tell me what happened?
You know, I don't really know. I only heard somebody say to me, I heard what I guess was a gunshot, and somebody said to me that somebody had a knife. So I think there was some kind of altercation, but I don't know.
Wow. Did they go overhead? Did they make an announcement? I mean, how did they alert shoppers?
I don't know that they did, or I wasn't paying close attention. Yeah, I had only heard from another lady who was kind of running through the store.
Now to step out of the store and see the presence that's here.
Yes, I'm a little surprised, but yeah.
Yeah. Are police asking questions of shoppers? Did they
Yeah,
question
to
you?
see what people-
What are some of the questions they're asking?
I didn't really see much, so they just asked me if I saw anything, and I said I really didn't. I just heard a little bit, and then, yeah.
What happened?
I have no idea. I walked in, I was in the back there. I heard yelling. I thought people were arguing and kids started crying. I heard some gunshots, the police running after somebody. And by the time I seen them, they had them down on the ground and they were getting them up. And somebody said someone had a knife, but I don't know. I don't know.
Wow.
I'll be honest. I hid when I seen everybody running.
Yeah. Where did you hide?
I was in the liquor department. I came here to get a bottle of wine so I could relax for the evening.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, now I'm like shaking.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, to step outside now and to see all of this, what do you make of it?
I don't know because I don't even know, because I heard the shots. I don't know. Did they get somebody? I have no idea.
So we saw someone taken by ambulance. They seem to be
So
mobile, but
maybe they did get him. Then maybe they shot him in the leg or something. I don't know. I just know that they had somebody down and they picked him up, but he didn't look like he was hurt. That guy did it. So I don't know.
interesting.
I know, right?
Well, hopefully what you got in your hand will be able to help calm your nerves here.
That my dogs.
Yes, yeah,
I'm going home with my dogs.
definitely. Okay,
All right.
well, thank you.
They all deserve a little comforting after what they've been
Yes.
through. She brings up a great point. You don't walk into a store, Brett, and think, okay, if I hear gunshots, what am I going to do next? Maybe you should, but I never have.
Yeah, or thinking, where's the entrance? Where's the exit? Where's the back door?
That's the reality these days. What struck you the most? Well, I'm going to ask you that again in a second, but do we have a consensus on how many shots witnesses heard?
Sure, we heard anywhere between 4 and 5 gunshots. Ted, for being out in the field and doing this as long as I have, you take that with a little bit of a grain of salt here, because a lot of times people think they heard more gunshots than what they actually did. Also noteworthy, in a store like this, in an indoor environment, there could be echoes. There's obviously lots of metal shelving and things like that inside a department store like Meijer. So room for echoes to kind of permeate throughout the building. But yeah, we're hearing about 4 or 5 gunshots is what the general consensus was. I mentioned earlier that I was just corresponding with a dear friend of mine from high school who told me her mom was inside. We referenced her just a little while ago. She said she was buying, the mom was buying Pringles for her grandson because he was going to have a sleepover this weekend at her house, and again just dropped everything when a woman screamed, we need to get out of the store. Frightening all around for everyone involved.
Brett, was it unusual? Like, I'm trying to reconcile the picture, the video that you had that was happening. It was live of this person being put in a med unit. They were upright, and don't want to be the medical examiner here, but usually if it's a critical injury, they're not upright. You see, more frantic work going on around them. This person, looked calm, and everyone around that person looked calm.
I would say they looked in pain.
Yeah.
They did seem to have
Yeah, I mean, we could see blood. Yeah, and we could see blood from their leg or knee or somewhere in their lower extremities there, certainly. And we don't know if this was the perpetrator with a knife or if this was a victim. We just don't know at this point who this individual is. But obviously noteworthy that they were, at least, as you mentioned, Kim, upright and alert when they were taken from this scene.
We are waiting to hear from a news conference. We don't know what time. I imagine Chief Thompson is the one who's going to take the lead on this in front of cameras. But you've been in that mobile command unit that's parked outside the Meijer right now. Can you visually take us through it virtually and to the best of your recollection, what's in there?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I've been in there a couple of times, Ted. I was one of the first reporters that was inside when the city unveiled it. I believe that was in 2023. The city had plans for something like this. It's a custom vehicle predating the Waukesha Christmas parade attack in 2020. They got it in 2023. It cost about $900,000, so almost $1 million worth of equipment there. In addition to seeing it when they brought it into the city for the first time, they also have it on display a lot of times during Waukesha Unlocked, which is an event that takes place every other year in Waukesha, where you can go to the police department, for example, and get kind of hands-on with some of the vehicles. So I have pretty good knowledge of what's inside. It is basically the police station on wheels. It is a massive, massive vehicle that expands much like an RV does once it gets to a location. They have the ability inside that vehicle to call up cameras that are all over the city of Waukesha, which would certainly be noteworthy if they were looking for example, a suspect vehicle, or they wanted to replay video of someone coming to or leaving a particular scene. But they have everything that you could imagine at their disposal there. I would imagine, just based on what I've been told, how it is used in operation, that the chief and some of the higher ranking officers that are on scene are inside that vehicle looking at evidence. They're communicating with other law enforcement agencies that have come to the scene to assist, and calling the detectives, making sure that all of the evidence is being transported properly out of the Meijer store here. But yeah, it is an impressive vehicle that, again, custom made, almost $1 million that the city has had now since about 2023, if I'm not mistaken.
We saw police in that command vehicle, also saw some sheriff's deputies. Are they, you think, there to assist?
We don't know. If this was a situation where a city of Waukesha police officer fired a gun, there would be a natural reason for there to be outside agencies to come and assist with the investigation. Obviously, the building behind me here, where we're standing, is within the jurisdiction of the City of Waukesha Police Department, so they are the lead agency here, the ones who responded to this individual allegedly with a knife inside Meijer as well. But if this was a situation where Waukesha police shot someone, there would be a natural reason then to have that outside agency come to assist. Also, fair to point out, Kim and Ted, that there were so many squads that were here. I counted at least 10 City of Waukesha squads when I first arrived on scene. That could also just be a situation of resources at the time were drained. If there was something else that was going on in the city, they needed backup, not beyond the realm of possibility that someone from State Patrol or the county would assist in that matter as well.
And we don't know the timeline between the first call for help and how quickly cops were there, but it seems from witness accounts it was pretty darn fast.
Yeah, what we heard from some of those shoppers that came out that spoke with me live on air during our 6 o'clock broadcast is that everything seemed to have happened rather quickly. When I arrived, this was just at around 6 o'clock or so, and there were still people that were pulling in to the store thinking they would go in. And actually, Ted, if you could, I've just seen City of Waukesha police are on scene. I just want to go and talk to them real quick, if you wouldn't mind.
Why don't we do that? And we'll recap what we know.
Someone else. Thank you.
Sounds
Please
good.
do, yeah.
Let's replay. We're going to do a little bit of musical chairs here. Ben Handelman is going to tap in. While we're doing that, let's hear from people that Brett spoke to in the parking lot as they were leaving the store.
I heard a bunch of screaming, yelling, back and forth. And I heard somebody say, hey, he has a knife. And then I heard gunshots. Then I ran.
How many gunshots?
5.
Wow. What was the mood like inside the store? Was it panic?
No, it was like no one knew what was going on. And then people started moving a little faster to somewhere else.
Any idea what transpired with this man with the knife?
No.
Pretty scary, though.
Yeah, I'm really scared.
Yeah. From what I understand, they've closed the store now. They're telling people to get out.
I don't know. I got out the back way a long time ago, so I don't know what's going on now.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad you're safe.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah.
And as Kim mentioned, we're playing musical chairs. Kim getting ready for Fox 6 News at 9. Ben Handelman is in. Can you, Brett, was that you would to talk to a police officer?
Yeah.
Anything new that we need to know from that conversation?
So we were just very briefly chatting with Captain Joe Hendricks of the Waukesha Police Department. He did confirm that this is an officer-involved shooting. So we have that on the record now from Waukesha Police, and he just informed us that momentarily there will be a press conference at the City of Waukesha Police Department. So we are going to leave this scene, go to City of Waukesha PD, and of course we will bring that to you live as it happens, but that should be within the next hour for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. Any reason that they're having it at the police department? All the media is kind of gathered right there at the pick and save.
Yeah, I mean, the captain had said that they wanted to get the chief briefed and ready for this particular press conference. As I already pointed out, the chief was here on scene earlier, at least a couple of hours ago when we first went on air. We saw him live on Fox 6, but now they are telling us that this is going to be at the city police station.
We're going to let you go then. Thank you for all the work you've done there. We're going to see you the next time at the police station, maybe before or directly after that. Brett Lemoyne, thank you so much. Christina Vanzels is also on the scene, not there at the same time Brett was there. She's gathering witnesses, talking to some people as well.
The most interesting witness we've heard from, and we haven't been able to corroborate that with a second witness, is that this person possibly had their face painted. And we've been zooming in on the photo that we have, because as Brett was interviewing someone as he was outside the store, that is when someone was taken out on a stretcher and put into the ambulance. And we do have a still of that person as they were loaded into the ambulance, and it did appear that that person was being escorted by law enforcement. There were people with rifles there.
Yeah, you brought up a really good point before. There was an officer with a long gun, which you wouldn't usually see if it was just the victim, right? But
or
again,
someone else who had been hit in the store.
Yeah.
We still don't know what happened.
And again, the face did appear to be white, and I say this not flippantly, it could have been sunblock. I mean, people have some skin issues. When they go out in the sun, they need zinc-based sunblock. We don't know. We're accounting for all the possibilities of what you see there. Let's bring in Christina Van Zels. People are asking questions. People are gathering. What are you hearing from people? Have you talked to anyone who was a witness to this event?
Ted, nobody who was a witness inside of the store, but we did hear people who heard the sirens who live nearby. They heard it, and that's the people who are watching the scene from across the street here. Want to show you, though, what things look like here at the Meijer now. People are leaving. We know that when you came to us a little bit ago, there were a lot of cars still in the parking lot. It looks like now they're clearing some folks out of the Meijer parking lot here. So that is possibly a sign that maybe they are not necessarily wrapping things up, because there is still a pretty heavy law enforcement presence here. They've still got the command unit up in the middle of the two sides of the store here. Again, the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department is also here assisting with, it appears they might actually be leaving right now, but they still have this entire area blocked off parking lot wise. Actually, I talked to a woman who is door dashing, and she had to walk pretty far to come pick up a DoorDash order from Tropical Cafe Smoothie right here to bring it back over to where she could get to her car. So again, parking lot here is clearing out a little bit, and there are still a lot of Waukesha police officers here on the scene, but it does seem that things are still starting to clear out.
When you say they're clearing people out or bringing people out, were they bringing them out from the Meijer, could you tell?
You know, I couldn't tell.
Okay.
And I'm trying to see who the people are in the cars. Also can't really tell. I wasn't sure if they would have Meijer shirts on, if they were employees of the store. It's hard to say at this time.
When we heard from the witnesses, it was such a good indication of how big Meijers are. I mean, if you've been into a Meijer, you know how big they are. Just think of any super Walmart. Meijer's the same thing. I mean, it's got a whole grocery store, a whole home section, and there's two entrances. And it was important because we were hearing different kinds of interviews depending which exit they left out of, and it does appear there were people who seemed very confused because as big as the store is, they were farther away. And then there's a much more gruesome scene where some witnesses were telling Brett Lemoyne they had to step over blood that was on the floor. It just shows that there's so many different perspectives that law enforcement's weeding through right now.
And how intense was the sound that you heard? Was it muffled because it happened at the other end of the store and you were in a changing room, or did it happen close to you and you could hear how violent the gunshots sounded? I think it's going to depend on how you react, for sure, depending on how close you were to the actual incident, which we do now officially know is an officer-involved shooting. Our Brett Lemoyne was able to confirm that with a police captain just about 10 minutes ago. So we do know police fired at someone.
And guys, we also...
Go ahead, Christina. Yeah, please.
We also know, Ted, from Brett, he says that he knows all officers are okay. I'm getting those notes in, so I want to get that to our viewers right away. That is confirmed that all officers are okay in this shooting.
I'm trying to figure out who's in charge of the scene here, and I bring that up because now we've got to confirm that it's an officer-involved shooting, and we talked about this. If it was a deadly officer-involved shooting, which this does not appear to be at this moment, there is a state law that an outside agency has to come in, and we would probably be seeing them just kind of hanging out waiting for those outside investigators to come in. But Christina, as you've been out there, I haven't seen anyone from the Department of Criminal Investigation or a different agency. Sometimes, you know, each department has their own policy when it's non-fatal about who comes in. Milwaukee County as a whole unit, they kind of trade up the departments for that.
Brett was saying he did see a couple Waukesha County squad cars on that scene, on that location, that weren't doing traffic.
We've got that here too.
Oh, you've got that there too. You bring up a great point. Go ahead, Christina.
I was just going to say, this was a while ago, but we did also see a Glendale police vehicle in the area, not necessarily at the Meijer. So that's something I've been looking for as I've been here, and I don't see any other law enforcement here from a different neighboring city or town. As you mentioned, there is the Waukesha County Sheriff's deputies, but they appear to be just doing traffic monitoring, making sure people aren't getting in and out of this parking lot at this time.
And helping out there. It's just such an interesting scene because you guys know, I mean, we've all been on the criminal scenes. I mean, the thing they have to do is block off the area. A little easier to do with a Meijer because you just have two entrances in and out. So whatever's taking place inside, obviously they're keeping it so far away in the parking lot. But those investigators, the crime scene kind of here is confined to the store.
And people, as they were leaving, went through sort of a two-stage screening process. Once as they left the store, another as they were getting closer to the car or leaving the parking lot, with Waukesha police officers saying, can you tell us what you saw? Can you tell us what you heard? You know, very often you might be interviewed right outside the store, and by the time you get to your car, go, oh yeah, and I also remember this. So it's kind of wise to have two stages of people being interviewed. So I'm sure they're putting all those notes together and coming up with a consensus of what the best witnesses saw or heard.
And this might just be starting now. Some of this might be, let me get your phone number, and we'll call you in if we think we need you. And again, I think officer-involved shooting, who's the most critical witnesses going to be? Some of those will be law enforcement members from presumably the Waukesha Police Department here. Christina, the one thing I haven't seen is anyone in those blue Meijer shirts. I haven't seen any employees leaving since we have been on scene. Have you been able to see any movement? Think how many employees were inside of this massive store when this happened.
Right, and no, I have not seen any employees, at least from my vantage point, leave the store. That might be why there are still so many vehicles in the parking lot, as officers are still investigating clearly here. They still have the entire parking lot blocked off. We have not seen any of those employees leave, and again, just to show you how big this scene is, they do have police on both entrances of the store, so it's hard to tell exactly what part is where maybe this all went down, where it started, because they have law enforcement spread out throughout the entire parking lot and at both entrances. There is one officer leaving this entrance here, so from where I've been standing, it does seem like the focus or more of the law enforcement has been going in and out of is on this right side of the Meijer at the home section. But again, it's really hard to tell because it's, as we've been saying, such a large scene and a large store. But no employees that I have seen have left Meijer just yet.
I'll keep an eye out for that. I want to go back to something you just said, Ben, that the best witnesses will come from Waukesha police who are on the scene. Yes, in case you're wondering, Waukesha police, city of, do have body cameras on them. Waukesha County Sheriff's deputies do not. There's a move to change that. I believe it is changing, but there will, unless for some reason it was turned off, and I can't imagine why it would be, we will eventually see police camera video of this, body camera video.
One of my big questions is who called police to the Meijer originally? If the witness statement is correct and there was someone with face paint who walked in, they're going to get so much attention from the get-go from those employees. Was it an employee who saw them first? Was law enforcement at the store? Because I think we can all agree, based off the witness testimony, this happened really quick. Police were right there. And there wasn't much lapse.
That's the question I was trying to ask Brett Lemoyne before. Do we have that timeline of first call and first response? We don't yet. We'll perhaps get it tonight at that news conference. They're very good at saying at this time, at this time, at this time. But you're right. They do seem to be there was a lot of police presence right there very quickly. And again, maybe officers were in the store. Maybe they got called for something else. Who knows? But we're going to be able to see all this. Cameras are going to tell the story, as they often do. I think people somehow forget that they're always, when you're in public, you're on camera, okay? So we are going to see eventually, if Meijer chooses to release what they have, going from the store, going from the person's car, if they did indeed take a car, the second they arrive on Meijer's property to the second they went in the store, that's all going to be on videotape.
It's 8:30. You're watching breaking news here on Fox 6. Ted Perry, Ben Handelman from the Fox 6 studios, and you're looking live at the Meijer on Sunset, southeast part of Waukesha, where right around 6 o'clock today, according to witnesses, there was a commotion. Moments ago, law enforcement confirms officers fired and hit a suspect. We don't know the condition, and any minute now we're expecting a press conference to begin at the Waukesha Police Department.
We thought it would be on site. We saw the command unit there. The command unit is still there. That's for gathering evidence and other police matters, but the Chief Thompson will be giving a briefing sometime. We don't have the exact time, but that will be back at the Waukesha Police Station, and that is where Brett Lemoyne is on his way to right now. Christina Van Zelst remains on the scene, and we have our newsroom. You just came from the newsroom. Taking a quick break. Tell us what's happening in there.
A lot of quietness because so many investigators appear to be working now. There's been no updates except for police officers booting us from the Meijer property when we first arrived and then telling us there'd be a press briefing across the street at the Pick and Save, and then a different officer, a captain, telling us just moments ago, actually, we're going to do this at the police station. Let's go through the timeline since we may have some new people joining us here with this new half hour. And the timeline that we're able to piece together is coming from witness testimony from the shoppers who were coming out. Our Brett Lemoyne was the first on scene. He was there just moments after this all went down. And according to the witnesses in the store, there was some kind of loud commotion, reports of a man with a knife, and then gunshots rang out inside of the Meijer.
And that's when a lot of people, when they realized what was happening, got out, of course, lickety-split as soon as they could. We talked to one woman who was in the liquor department. She said she heard the gunshots and she hid. She had just come in for a bottle of wine. She said, I had a rough day. I wanted a bottle of wine. And she was still clutching it as she walked out. She said, I need this and I need my dog. And she was heading home. But again, the specific timeline, we're still waiting on. But yeah, cops were there very quickly. That much we know. That much the witnesses have told us that they were pleased at how quickly police arrived on the scene.
And such a big store that some witnesses told our Brett Lemoyne they heard something. And what did they do? Continued to check out because they didn't know what it was and they weren't close to the action and didn't comprehend their mind what was occurring on the other side of the store. Let's go to Christina Van Zelst out at the scene. All right, Christina, it's just been amazing to me that they haven't really shut down that very busy Sunset Drive down there in Waukesha. Everything is open. It's almost as if you went by it really quick. You might not even know that there's this massive response and police scene there at the Meijer.
Yeah, Ben, and I actually want to get right out to our shot here because we just moved down to the other section of Meijer where it looks like police have their cameras set up with their tripods taking pictures on this side of the Meijer. So this is actually the side I didn't think they were focusing on, but moving down here, it's giving us a different vantage point where you can see investigators coming in and out of this side of the store, and they've got their cameras out in the parking lot. You can see a little tripod there, and then the people coming in and out of the store on this side. So this is the fresh side, if you will, compared to the home side of Meijer. So again, still a lot of vehicles in the parking lot. We have not seen employees leave just yet, but it's very quiet, not a lot of urgency at this point. We do know, again, that all of the officers are okay. That is something we just learned in the last 15 minutes or so as they are investigating this officer-involved shooting. So wanted to give you a different look at a different side of the store as this investigation is still underway. They've still got the command unit up and several Waukesha police squads here with the parking lot still closed down.
And Ben mentioned those familiar blue Meijer shirts. That's not one of them, in case you're wondering. That's not an employee. That's a police detective. He's wearing his shield around his neck. So at first I thought, oh, they are talking to a Meijer employee, but no, that looks to be a detective with the badge right out there in full view. Christina, is there anyone keeping you back, or is this just the courtesy that they've said, please don't come any closer? How close are you to any law enforcement?
Well, you can, there's one vehicle that's blocking the actual parking lot into Meijer, so we're across the street. Now, they do have the actual street shut down to cars, but we walked over here. Again, we are across the street, so we are on a public sidewalk, and we have not been given a hard time. They are letting media be back where we're at now. The original staging where we were when we first got here was very far away and across the street. So where we're at now is just right across from the Meijer, and we seem to be in an okay position. No one's told us otherwise. So again, we're staying on public property as they have the parking lot blocked off and this street blocked off to cars, but anybody could walk over here.
You know, it's always interesting to see a police investigation unfold before your eyes. As you guys zoom back over, you see the tripods. Looks very similar to the equipment that we use. But this is very interesting when you watch this all take place. As you see, it looks like a detective. They have to capture this scene at this time. They do not want things to move in case later in the justice system, you want to be brought back to what happened at this time on this day here at the Meijer on Sunset. So I'm just thinking of the challenges that these investigators are facing as one of them's going inside with the tripod there. This is such a large store, and we don't know how this all unfolded inside, but they're going to have to go through the whole store and photograph it. But Ted, you bring up a good point. I think the video will be the key evidence.
I'm certain they've already looked at the video and found this guy's path from the parking lot to where he was shot.
Christina, I don't see any cones on the outside. You know, sometimes cones can be an indication of evidence outside of the store, and I don't see any cones in the very large parking lot at Meijer.
No evidence markers outside. I don't see that either. You can just see that one investigator with their tripod out, and I don't know if it's coming across on the screen, but we've seen some flashes. So they're obviously taking photos from this vantage point, but I do not see any evidence markers at this, at least on the outside of the store. And when
I think I could just read her shirt. Does that say DOJ Crime Lab? I don't know if you guys can zoom back in as she turned around. I thought the back of her shirt, which this will come back to, did they bring in an outside agency? Let's see if this investigator turns for us. That would be Department of Justice Crime Lab. There are some instances where police departments, nobody has more tools than the state. So this is not an indication that the state maybe has taken over the investigation, but maybe, hey, you guys, you're good at this. Can you send some people?
And we just broke ground or did the ribbon cutting on the new criminal justice facility out in Waukesha that is a state crime lab. So perhaps they are from that department. We don't know exactly, but you're right. Not every department has all the bells and whistles, so they sometimes have to bring in the experts from the state. That does not mean that they are in charge of the investigation, but good points for you for being an eagle eye and spotting that T-shirt.
If I was correct, I'm hoping she spins back around so we can read the back of her T-shirt here.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. Let's see. I got to get close to the monitor here.
I'm looking at it. It says DOJ.
Yep, it does. It says DOJ Crime Lab. Ben, you have great eyes.
Okay, so that just tells me there are state investigators. Not sure if they are assisting with this or they've actually taken over again, because we've now been able to confirm a short time ago this is an officer-involved shooting, which no matter the result of what happened with the suspect, they probably want to bring in an outside agency to handle it from the get-go, but we don't have an indication right now. Again, press conference any minute now.
Yeah, you can tell that we have a lot of questions. You probably do as well, and we're hoping to get all of them answered. So we're waiting on that. It's going to be back at the Waukesha Police Department, not on the scene of the incident as we first thought, not across the street at the Pick and Save. So perhaps they're waiting for everyone to get back over there and get settled. But the work continues for sure at this Meijer store on Sunset Drive in Waukesha, where about shortly after 6 tonight, some sort of commotion, then gunshots. We now can assume that those gunshots, were there 4, were there 5? Witnesses tell different stories. Not always sure if you're hearing a gunshot or a ricochet or what. Some people, we brought up this point, not everyone has heard a gun go off in person. Certainly not in a situation like that where the echo might be different, where the, depending on where you are, it might sound muffled, it might sound loud. So we know that 3, 4, 5 shots were fired according to witnesses, and we can assume now that those came from the police officer or officers, we don't know. They're told it's an officer-involved shooting, we don't know if it's plural, doing their best to get this situation under control of a person who reportedly had a knife and a very bizarre report of white face paint.
I actually want to break that down, guys. Can we play the interview where Brett was talking to the witness when this person that we now believe is the suspect was brought out on the stretcher? Can we play that interview really quickly?
Last name?
Rachel Nelson.
Nelson. What happened?
I was over in the grocery aisle, and then I was hearing people shout that this guy has a knife, and then I was letting other people know that there was a guy with a knife, and then I saw some cops run over, and then I heard like 4 shots. And, yeah.
Wow. And so who shot? Who shot?
I think one of the police officers did, so
Wow.
yeah.
Scary.
I'm a little flustered, so, but yeah, I hope he's okay. And
What's
yeah,
the mood like in the store when this happened?
panic. So, but yeah.
She was right when she said that was the officers firing. It clearly appears that it was.
And this is a closer picture. Guys, are you able to now cue up that very interesting interview that Brett Lemoyne got where the woman is describing kind of not knowing what had happened, but then a very bizarre scene goes right by her. I'm not sure if we've got that queued up, but she talks about face paint on this individual.
I was shopping, and all of a sudden I heard 3 bams, and I thought for sure it was a gunshot.
Wow.
And prior to that, several people were screaming and yelling. There was evidently some kind of a very strange man wielding a knife, running around.
Did you see him run by you?
No, I didn't. But a lot of people I talked to did. And I saw him being wheeled out by the police. And he had white face paint on. And he may have had some kind of black makeup along with it.
Oh.
I'm not sure, but he had white face paint and he had blood on his arms. And I don't know if he was shot or if he stabbed someone else or he himself got stabbed.
What do you make of that? What do you make of the face paint? What's behind that?
That's a good question. I said to several people, what's going on with the white face paint? And I don't know.
And of all the people that Brett talked to, she is the one who saw that person being taken away on a stretcher into the ambulance. Other people heard that there was a commotion. She actually laid eyes on him and described that face paint. And your reaction out here was the same as mine in the newsroom. That sounds creepy. That sounds really off-putting. And maybe that alone is what signals someone to say, keep an eye on this one coming in the store.
Yeah.
How big was the knife? How concealed was the knife? Was it a machete? Was it a, we don't know. All these things we're going to get the answers to, hopefully, in the next few minutes. But I guarantee you, one of the first 3 questions going to be asked of Chief Thompson is, what's the deal with the white face paint that one witness at least describes seeing?
It's so bizarre sounding and so peculiar that we have so many questions about that. A lot of people don't realize the minute you walk into stores like this, you are being watched. There are whole teams.
Even before you walk into the store, from the parking lot, they're being watched.
I mean, at a Walmart, there's usually a nice woman who will wave to you and talk to you. The greeters, they're so famous. Meijer may have a different technique, but they're not just there to greet you. There are security protocols in place as well. And so I'm just guessing if there's someone with a strange face paint who walks into a Meijer, maybe even before they have a knife shown, if that's in fact what did happen here, that's going to raise a red alarm in a store like a Meijer, and maybe that would why the police were there so quickly.
And wouldn't you want to explain it right away if you did? Wouldn't you want to walk in and go, we're in the middle of a theater production. I need more face paint or something to explain this is why I'm looking so bizarre. We don't think that any of that happened, but you're right. Somebody signaled cops to say, you got to get here. Brett Lemoyne, you are outside. Good time made there. You are now at the City of Waukesha Police Station. Any word on when we're going to hear from Chief Daniel Thompson?
So they have not committed to an exact time, Ted, so we're still waiting. We're on standby, of course. If it's inside, outside, we'll adjust accordingly here. But I do want to just reiterate a few of the pieces of information that we have confirmed now that Waukesha Police telling us this is an officer-involved shooting. They wanted to stress that none of their officers were hurt, which is obviously a good thing. But as far as other details, we're waiting for that press conference to begin here, hopefully within the hour.
Yeah, it's interesting they moved it there, Brett. I haven't seen, and correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't seen any updates. I'm on the Waukesha Police Department webpage, Facebook. They're basically saying hold tight and wait.
Basically, yeah. I mean, they normally will convey information through their social media channels or through the city website. For example, they'll update press releases that way. It has been very quiet, other than that very brief interaction that we had with the captain here from the City of Waukesha Police Department telling us, confirming that this was an officer-involved shooting, which again, Ben and Ted, that kind of confirms now why we saw all these different jurisdictions that had responded to the Meijer parking lot on Sunset, and then also stressing, of course, the good news that no officers were harmed during this incident.
Even social media sites that kind of listen to scanners in a particular area, they went quiet a couple hours ago. They were very active when this first started. Can't tell you the information they're reporting because it's not verified, so we don't go with that. But we do check with them because maybe there's a bit of evidence that something we hadn't heard, so we know what question to ask. But I'm not going to report anything that they were reporting because it seems very much different than what the reality is turning out to be.
And this happens a lot of time. You guys know this. The things I'm seeing on social media are not lining up with the reports that, Brett, you got with shoppers, with just the number of people you saw loaded into an ambulance and that sort of thing. So you got to be careful on those early reports. Because again, Brett, you were, I mean, I don't know how quickly you were on the scene, but when we were taking you live, officers were showing up. So, I mean, can you just talk about your timeline, how you ended up really on the scene right as this thing was unfolding?
Sure. So we were at doing another report about a fundraiser on Racine Avenue in Waukesha, which is just really maybe a half mile, if that, away from the Meijer in Waukesha on Sunset, and responded right away. I mean, I was there within minutes of the initial report going out over the police scanners. And yeah, when I arrived, I counted 10 City of Waukesha squads that were in the parking lot. As I made my way through, noticed more coming to the scene, in particular sheriff's deputy squads, state patrol squads as well. There were fire trucks that were in the parking lot and ambulances, and almost instantaneously as I had arrived, we saw paramedics taking that individual. Again, we don't know if this was the individual with the knife, or if this was someone else, into the back of that ambulance in an upright position. He appeared alert and coherent as to what was taking place around him, but then obviously, as we've seen now for the last couple of hours, just this outpouring of customers that were coming out of the store, sharing their stories, sharing what they saw and what they heard inside the store, many of them still shaken by the time they finally were able to exit the building.
But to our knowledge, the video or the still shot that we're showing right here of a person getting loaded into the ambulance, that's the only person we saw coming out. I know there are two entrances, but to our knowledge, this is the only one we've seen.
And I only saw ambulances at that particular entrance. Now, I can't say that there weren't ambulances behind the building. I don't know. I didn't have eyes on that. But when I arrived, that was the only ambulance that was on scene. That was the only person that I saw taken from the scene. In fact, as our viewers, if you've been with us since 6 o'clock, and Ben, you may recall this when you were on at 6, we followed that ambulance as it left the scene. You could hear the sirens blaring as we made our way through the parking lot and continued to talk to people.
I don't know if you know this, and I don't want to put you on the spot here, but just because we can see on the live picture on the left here, there's that woman with the tripod, and it says DOJ Crime Lab on her shirt. Now, in Milwaukee County, Brad, if there's an officer-involved shooting that's not fatal, they kind of have a rotating cast of crew. They'll switch departments. So if you're in Milwaukee and there's a shooting, maybe Brown Deer is the one that's on call, or maybe it's Cudahy, and it keeps rotating. Do you know the policy in Waukesha County, what happens when there's an officer-involved shooting? I know each department, unless it's fatal, which there is a state law that then there has to be an outside investigation, departments sometimes have different policies.
Yeah, and I don't know that policy off the top of my head, Ben. I know that in the past, for these types of incidents, they've relied on the Milwaukee area, I forget what the acronym is, but the kind of consortium of law enforcement agencies that work in Milwaukee County to investigate these. But certainly, I mean, having the DOJ there, I think, was an indication of just what we've learned in the last hour, which was that this was an officer-involved shooting, that officers did fire shots at an individual for reasons that we will find once we have this press conference take place. But yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, Ben.
I want to go back to the conversation you had with a captain back at the other location who you kind of left the live shot, which is totally understandable, to talk to. Did he wave you over, or did you see him and go to him? I know that's when you learned it was an officer-involved shooting. What else was that captain able to tell you? I know it was a brief conversation, but can you relay all the information you learned at that time?
So I saw him in the parking lot in his car. It was an unmarked car, but I recognized him right away because I've had many interactions with him over the years. And the captain said, look, we can't tell you much right now, but we are working on a media briefing that will be here at the Waukesha Police Department. So he said, you know, you might want to head over there. We can't give you an exact timeline, but we hope to have something very soon. And then relayed to me that first and foremost, no officers were hurt in this, and that it was in fact an officer-involved shooting, and that was it. You know, obviously we tried to ask more questions, but that was the end of the conversation.
Yeah. The acronym we were all looking for, by the way, is MATE, Milwaukee Area Investigative Team, created in 2016 to address situations just like this.
Yeah, and it's funny because I've talked to departments, you know, when things happen in Milwaukee, it can be interesting because who are the most experienced, serious, when it comes to homicides or serious crime, who's the most experienced? Well, it's Milwaukee Police Department. And sometimes there can be challenges when you go to smaller communities and something happens. Not the case in Waukesha, Brett. I mean, there are so many serious investigations. These, the officers on that department, when it comes to something serious happening, they unfortunately have a lot of experience in dealing with these kinds of situations.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. I think that's a great observation to make. Obviously, there are law enforcement officers at the county level that have experience with these types of situations as well that, you know, they often will lean on. Again, county deputies were at the scene tonight as well, which I think is certainly noteworthy. I'm trying to think back of when the last officer-involved shooting was here in Waukesha, and I'm drawing a blank. I don't recall the last non-fatal officer-involved shooting. I know that there was one maybe a year or two ago that was in the city of Waukesha over by the Target on Kasau Road, where there was a fatality where Waukesha police shot and killed a man. It was ruled justified by the district attorney, and that was that. But certainly, it's rare to have these types of crimes occur in the city of Waukesha. That's for sure.
It'd be interesting when we hear you bring up anytime an officer uses deadly force, it almost immediately starts an internal investigation, right or wrong, just to make sure what happened was within the laws and the training. And so that may also be happening behind the scenes. Those investigators may be showing up on scene to do their own internal investigation for just department policies.
And your memory's pretty good, Brett.
Sure.
April 9th, 2024 on that Target shooting. So, yeah. All right, we're now just learning that 9:30 is the expected time for this news conference. That's what our producers in the booth are telling us. So we got a ways to go, but you're on site, so you don't have to travel.
Sure.
You're going to be there for it.
Yep. And we're just seeing now there's some individuals, presumably law enforcement, that are entering the building here behind me. Just got buzzed into the police department. I don't want to I don't know who they are. I don't recognize these individuals, but certainly an indication that there's at least some activity here at the police department. Again, we spotted the chief, the City of Waukesha police chief, at the Meijer a few hours ago, talking with some of the officers who were on scene. We're told that he will be coming back here, if he's not here already, for that briefing that we'll bring to you live at 9:30.
Yeah, I wonder if the mayor would get roped into this information. New mayor in Waukesha. She's been a city leader, but this would be a new frontier for her, being at the head of a major incident involving her city's police department. So I wonder if she may also be at this press conference that, again, we just learned 9:30.
Yeah, I have not heard, Ben, if that is the case. I know in past similar types of instances like this that the police department will have other elected officials from the city present during these press briefings. We have not heard anything beyond the fact that this is going to take place now at 9:30. I don't know who will be in attendance, but you're absolutely right. There is precedent for it, so it is possible that Mayor Haldensleben will be here for that, but I don't know that for sure.
And it could just be as a PR situation to say, listen, this is an isolated incident. Our officers were on it quickly. Waukesha is safe, trying to get that message out. We're very proud of our officers. Yeah. We're glad they're okay. There's just the many reasons that the mayor may or may not be there.
And speaking of PR messages, we have not heard from Meijer yet about the situation. Obviously, that is a large corporation. That's PR department would not be local. We were reaching out to the corporate office nationally. Haven't heard anything back to know what the situation is.
I'm going to make room for Kim Murphy to come in for the top of the 9. We'll do our musical chairs here. Nobody needs to actually see that happening. But again, Fox 6 News at 9, starting at the top of the hour. And we are awaiting that news conference coming your way from the City of Waukesha Police Department. We just learned that that's going to be at 9:30. Of course, we're going to bring that to you live on air and all our streaming platforms, our YouTube channel, our Fox 6 Facebook page, you name it, we're going to bring it to you on that. So Kim Murphy is coming into the studio now. Ben Handelman has been with me here, and we are getting ready to bring you Fox 6 News at 9 with complete coverage of what we've learned so far and what we hope to learn in the coming hour from 9 to 10 and then again from 10 to 11 o'clock. So we've got a lot of questions, a lot of answers coming your way quite soon on Fox 6 News at 9. Thanks for being with us on this special breaking news coverage of a shooting, officer-involved shooting in Waukesha. All police are okay.
With stories that matter to you, Fox 6 News at 9 starts right now with breaking news.
There was a guy with a knife, and then I saw some cops run over and then I heard like 4 shots.
And we're following breaking news right now at 9, a police shooting inside the Waukesha Meijer. And that's where we begin tonight. Chaotic moments unfolding in a busy Meijer store. We are awaiting official details in a news conference that could happen any moment now.
They just told us 9:30, so we'll be awaiting that. We know this was an officer-involved shooting. Witnesses describe a man with a knife and then shots being fired by officers. We've got team coverage tonight. Brett in Lemoyne was at the store. I mean, you were there shortly after it happened, Brett.
Yeah, and what a frightening scene for these shoppers, seeing them come out of the store, going past police officers for what we now know is an officer-involved shooting. We are standing outside here of the City of Waukesha Police Department awaiting a press conference to get more details as to exactly what happened. That press conference will start in a half an hour. Of course, we will bring it to you live. But Ben, as you mentioned, yeah, I was the first person on the scene, the first media on the scene, and we spoke with a number of shoppers coming out of the store. Most of them told us they heard gunshots, multiple gunshots, and they also say that they understand that there was a man in the store with a knife. Now, we saw individuals coming out of the store speaking and giving statements to police officers. They came up to us right after that and told us that they saw a man with a knife. One woman said she stepped over a pool of blood inside the Meijer store. And another woman, interestingly enough, Ben, told us that she saw an individual inside the store with his face covered in what she described as white paint. So we're getting a lot of reports from people that were inside the store. I think we have some individuals that are queued up right now that you can hear from directly.
Do you know what happened?
I heard a bunch of screaming, yelling, back and forth. And I heard somebody say, hey, he has a knife. And then I heard gunshots. Then I ran.
How many gunshots?
5.
Wow. What was the mood like inside the store? Was it panic?
No, everybody, it was like no one knew what was going on. And then, yeah, then people started moving a little faster to somewhere else.
Any idea what transpired with this man with the knife?
No.
Pretty scary, though.
Yeah, I'm really scared.
Yeah. From what I understand, they've closed the store now. They're telling people to get out.
I don't know. I got out the back way a long time ago, so I don't know what's going on now.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad you're safe.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah.
And we also heard from another woman who said as soon as she heard these loud bangs, she didn't know at the time that they were gunshots, but she had an inkling. She said she had to hide underneath the counter in the meat department with another woman because she was not sure what was taking place. A lot of people, again, coming out of the store shaking, very concerned about what they saw. But interestingly enough, guys, there were also a whole other sect of people that came out that had no idea what was going on. They were in an opposite corner of the store. Some continued to shop as normal and didn't realize anything had happened until they were greeted by those officers who were waiting at the entrances and exits, getting statements from individuals who were inside.
Brett Lemoyne, thank you. So we've had a couple of scenes, the Meijer store on Sunset, and then police asked us to move to a staging area across the street at the Pick and Save.
And then they made us move again, and Brett's at the police department now waiting for the press conference. Christina Van Zelst has a very good vantage point of that Meijer store where we have seen investigators, some of them state investigators now inside the store, Christina.
Yeah, Ben, we saw the Department of Justice Crime Lab investigators taking photos in the parking lot. Let's just show you what this looks like now. A lot of vehicles have since left the parking lot, and there are still people here inside the store. If we can zoom in there, this is appearing to be where the focus of this investigation is and where we saw those investigators with their tripods and their cameras taking pictures. Again, this is outside the Meijer, but it appears they are focused on the inside of the store. They also have their mobile command unit here. Waukesha County Sheriff's deputies are the ones who are blocking off the specific parking lot. We are right across the street here. No vehicles have come into this area, but some have left the parking lot, assuming they are employees of the Meijer. We have not seen any employees in their blue Meijer shirts leave the store at this point, and it's been quite some time since we've originally got here to the scene, a couple hours now, so seemingly the employees are still inside the store. Want to give you a listen to what some folks had to say earlier today when our Brett Lemoyne got here.
Store when that happened?
Yes.
We're on Fox 6. Can you tell me what transpired?
I was shopping, buying some apples, and all of a sudden we heard a couple of loud noises and somebody screaming. And another lady and I ditched off into the meat department behind the counter because we heard a gunshot and we heard somebody screaming, "Get out, get out, get out." Yeah, that's what we did.
What was going through your mind?
I had no idea what was happening. I thought there's a problem here because there were so many store employees running towards the back, and we were up towards the front, so we didn't really know. But when they said, "Get out, get out, get out," to whoever it was, probably another customer, we just moved as quickly as we could back to the meat department and hid behind the counter so that we'd be out of sight.
I can tell you're out of breath. This has affected
it was
you.
Scary because I just walked through at least 12 different policemen that helped control the group and told us we had to leave. And I haven't shopped. I went for school supplies and I didn't get any, but
oh, gosh.
I thank them for being there. The police are definitely, look how many police cars are here and how many people rushed to help us all get out and to keep us safe. So
Yeah.
pray for them.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you're okay, ma'am. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
You could hear it in her voice just how terrifying those moments are. And again, this is a massive store. We are on the left side of the Meijer at the fresh section where it appears the investigation has focused. A lot of people coming in and out of these doors. But earlier today, this parking lot was full of Waukesha Police Department. Their command center is at the center of the store outside here. Still people here coming in and out of the store, but no vehicles are leaving. We did see a few leaving, but as of the last couple minutes, it appears the investigation is continuing inside the Meijer. Again, we have that press conference coming up at 9:30 where our Waukesha County reporter Brett Lemoyne is at. If the scene changes here, we will sure to let you guys know. But for now, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
Christina Van Zelst reporting. We can confirm that it is a police shooting.
Yeah, and one of the most interesting things, and Christina, we can bring you in on this, is there appear to be still people inside the store because every few minutes, every once in a while, Christina, a car will still leave.
Correct. And let's just show you the doors again. So these doors are where we've seen investigators come in and out of in the last hour and a half. And there are vehicles leaving the parking lot, but it's slow. So I don't know if that's because investigators are interviewing witnesses and then once they're cleared, they're able to leave. That is not clear at this time, but I have been trying to see if any employees have been able to leave, and I had not seen that. You know, they wear their blue Meijer shirts, and so unless they've changed, I have not seen any employees leave the store. And there you go again, another person going inside to investigate the situation there on the left door.
All right, Christina, we want to share more witnesses, what they saw, what they heard. Brett Lemoyne spoke with one woman who thinks that she saw the suspect.
Okay.
Possibly. Let's listen.
I was shopping and all of a sudden I heard 3 bams and I thought for sure it was a gunshot.
Wow.
And prior to that, several people were screaming and yelling. There was evidently some kind of a very strange man wielding a knife, running around.
Did you see him run by you?
No, I didn't. But a lot of people I talked to did. And I saw him being wheeled out by the police. And he had white face paint on. And he may have had some kind of black makeup along with it.
Oh.
I'm not sure, but he had white face paint and he had blood on his arms. And I don't know if he was shot or if he stabbed someone else or he himself got stabbed.
What do you make of that? What do you make of the face paint? What's behind that?
That's a good question. I said to several people, what's going on with the white face paint? And I don't know.
So that witness, one of the people who may have been closest to what went down inside of this Meijer, getting a lot of description she gave to Brett Lemoyne.
And Brett was talking to a shopper when someone was wheeled out into the ambulance, and this is zoomed in, but there appears to be an officer with a long gun right there, and then this is the person, there's the wider shot of it, put into the ambulance, so you could see the kind of condition that person was in. And Brett says this is the only person from his vantage point, he doesn't know the back of the store, but the only person he saw that was put into an ambulance. Again, there's a closer look. This is a screen grab straight from Brett Lemoyne, who was in the middle of an interview but just turned at the right time just as this person was being put into the ambulance.
All started around shortly before 6 this evening when there was a commotion inside the Meijer, and then there were shots fired. Witnesses that Brett spoke to heard shots, 3, 4, 5. That's still to be determined. We are waiting for a briefing from police at 9:30.
This is still a busy scene here at the Meijer. This is one of the entrances that Christina says there is more of the action in, and we're seeing different investigators in there. Every once in a while, you will see a vehicle that is not law enforcement appear to leave the parking lot. My hunch tells me that they are still interviewing witnesses from inside the store, because although most of the parking lot is empty, there are still vehicles. And as Christina says, we haven't seen a lot of the workers or really anyone with a blue Meijer shirt leave. So that may still be happening, but we've seen pictures. We know the investigators are in there and they're still working at this hour.
At the very least, you know that the store manager is, or the managers, whoever were on duty.
Long night.
They're still there. Our coverage of the police shooting at Meijer continues on FOX6Now.com and, of course, the Fox local app. We will be back right after this.
You're watching Fox 6 News with Ben Handelman and Kim Murphy.
An investigation is happening right now at the Meijer on Sunset Drive in Waukesha. A shooting involving police happened this evening around 6 p.m. as shoppers were picking up things, perhaps on their way home.
According to witnesses, there was a commotion. Gunshots rang out. One witness says that someone on a stretcher was wearing white face paint on them when they were wheeled away. One witness telling our Brett Lemoyne they had to step over blood that was on the floor of that Meijer. So again, that press conference expected to start in minutes. They've moved everybody now to the police department, and our Brett Lemoyne, who's already had a long evening, is over there. He'll have the very latest when that occurs. Well, a pair of City of Milwaukee 911 call takers, they're on leave tonight after the delayed response to a brutal attack on a 99-year-old woman.
A third-party answering service called 911 2 times. And what you're about to hear It's part of that second call, and we warn you, what you hear is graphic.
If you're able to. Okay. Yep. I have 911 on the line.
Sam Kramer is here. He's been on top of the story. You sat down with the head of the city's Department of Emergency Communications today. You're in studio. First of all, I just want to get to what is a call taker as opposed to a dispatcher?
Yeah, so we scratched the surface on this yesterday, and it is a complex, kind of convoluted system that changed in February of 2025 when the city stood up officially its Department of Emergency Communications. What it did was it merged the communication dispatch systems that police had and fire had, which were separate. Now, a position that's known as a universal call taker, it's abbreviated UCT, is kind of that first line of defense. They're the ones that take that first call. They are trying to assess location, the type of call, who you are, a callback number, so that it can be properly routed to dispatchers for police or fire with the appropriate response. In this case, on Monday, when they were talking with the third-party answering service, it first came in as a welfare check, which often happens with things like Life Alert, though we don't know that that was what was used in this case. So it's their job to quickly assess what the threat is and who needs to respond. A welfare check on their internal scale is listed as a number 3 in terms of the strongest types of calls that require an immediate response. Number 3 does not require an immediate response. Number 2 would. So it was just a step away. And one of the interesting things that I found here was that this is an entry-level position. New employees come in and they are assigned to that position, which Tony Bueno, the director of the department, calls the hardest position they have in that building. And we asked him point blank for his reaction to what he knows about the situation so far. Take a listen.
So I'm going to try not to assume anything, but at least from the outset, it appeared that relevant information was available to indicate that there was something happening that was in progress and that someone was in danger or being assaulted. I think that is apparent in the call. Now, there might be reasons why they took a different action. I don't know. We'll wait for that. But at least having that information, that should be pretty straightforward. That we can hear a call, we know that there's somebody presently in danger, and that call should have received a higher response, an immediate response, and immediate dispatch. So we dropped the ball there.
I'm confused by that. He says higher response. You think when you call 911, and again, this was a third party, as in maybe you have a button on you, call somebody. That person was so concerned, whoever that went to, that third party dispatcher, that they called 911. But if you accidentally call 911, I've had this happen to me.
They show up.
Someone shows up.
Yeah.
There were 2 calls and nobody showed up. It wasn't until this 99-year-old woman called 911 herself that someone finally showed up. What happened?
2.5 hours later, mind you. And so what has been interesting, and we talked about this a little bit at 4, you asked, what happens at the end of those calls? Went back and listened to them in their entirety. The dispatcher is talking about, okay, yep, we got your call in the system, we're working on it. If it's not one of those high threshold, high priority calls, sure, they are working on it. But if the available officers are responding to something that requires more immediacy, it's not happening. And it seems like that's what happened here.
So we have bleeped some of the language in the 911 calls, but the dispatchers, they're hearing this. They're hearing this in the background. So what does Bueno say about that? I mean, wouldn't that elevate that something's going on here?
Which is the reason why he says, look, we've listened to the recordings. We have not talked to these employees. They're kind of the way they set up these investigations. They have 10 days to get their story together, come back in and be interviewed. I asked him, do you know if they collaborated? Did they have conversations? Hey, did you think that was weird? Do you think we should elevate this? To so many of us here, not in the moment, I think it's easy for us to say that. But even still hearing that audio, I don't know how you don't choose to elevate it. But we've talked to some people that work in this department anonymously because they fear retaliation. They really want to get the story out. And they fear that the universal call takers, again, that first level of answering these calls, is so focused on speed. Why? Because they are measured against national standards for response times. So the faster you get that information out, the more it appears you have a strong office that's actually accepting those calls. But I asked, based on the conversations we've had with these anonymous employees, well, are you sacrificing something by doing that? And here's what his response was.
I'm curious, just reading up about the switch in the CAD system last year, and you mentioned it earlier, seems to have improved your guys' response times and to better assign calls to the proper dispatchers, then provide the proper resources. But is that race against time sacrificing information in the same way?
I'm going to say no, but it's also a balancing act. So we need to get as much information as we can early on in the call so that we can start the help on the way. One of the instructions, or at least the comments that we'll make to a caller, is that none of the questions we ask are going to delay the response, especially with the medical. So that we give that reassurance that, you know, I'm doing the call taking, but somebody else is taking care of getting units en route. Maybe two other dispatchers, police and the medical unit en route. So we train to provide that information so that they're aware that, you know, it's not just a series of questions and then they get a response. We're doing it all at once.
So there's a lot that still has to come here. They have to interview these employees. They have to conclude their investigation, which could go all the way to firing these employees based on their findings. They may even change policies. I asked, would you consider changing the way you guys classify calls so that maybe you do respond a little bit aggressively in case it appears someone's life is threatened? He said, sure, everything's on the table.
There are many more questions I have, and we'll get into it later. Are the call takers in the same space as the dispatchers?
For some, they are.
So much.
We could talk about this all
right.
Yeah,
and we
I
will.
have
Thanks.
So many questions about what happened there. We are awaiting this press conference out in Waukesha. Here's a live picture at the Meijer. Any minute now, we're expecting, for the first time, police to have a briefing. They're gathering the media at the police department right now, but the investigation, it does continue inside the store. Stay with us here on Fox 6 News at 9.
Any moment now, we will hear from Waukesha police on what exactly went down at this Meijer store on Sunset Drive. This happened around 6 o'clock this evening. You can see it is still an investigation going on inside. The briefing will happen at the police station, and as soon as it starts, we'll bring it to you. To the Fox Cities now. Governor Evers has activated the National Guard to help with the recovery in Menasha.
Today, he was in town to survey the devastation for himself.
When I've seen it from the maps, it's unbelievable, and having so much of it be in urban areas, it's really quite extensive. You think about these folks that are helping out their neighbors. Could be that their house is, blown down or whatever, and so there is something about Wisconsin that is about helping each other.
Governor Evers declared a state of emergency yesterday. Today, he visited an elementary school that's been heavily damaged by the storm. Evers also met with local leaders and spoke about what they need in the areas and asking, what can we give you in those really hard-hit streets?
And today, Winnebago County officials started the important work of damage assessments. It's happening in 2 stages. The first, focusing on life-threatening situations, and the second, addressing any lingering damage, especially for things like utilities. It's unclear how long the damage assessments will take. And devastation continues in Menasha. Our Brill Preciado joins us with a closer look at the cleanup efforts.
All hands are on deck here in Menasha as folks continue to pick up the pieces left from the tornado and the storm that hit the area. And as recovery efforts ramp up, neighbors say that they're now left with a new challenge.
If you haven't gone through it, you really can't know what it's like.
It's the reality neighbors in Menasha are facing after an EF3 tornado tore through the city Monday.
This is like our nightmare come true.
The Miskey family is among those left in the devastation.
Yeah, all the windows pretty much are gone. The sunroom is gone, coming off the house, foundation's cracked.
Leaving them without a home that they continue to guard.
We stayed here because the looters were out right away on Monday night.
It's a looting problem that has got the attention of neighbors who are left to pick up the pieces of the aftermath.
It's like, why add insult to injury? We're all hurting.
The Menasha Police Department currently has a curfew that runs from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m.
We made 2 arrests last night. Both arrests were for failing to obey lawful orders. We believe that they were attempting to take property that wasn't theirs.
It's a situation that has brought many neighbors on edge.
Physically and mentally just wore out.
Yeah, we haven't been able to sleep. We're afraid that people are going to steal stuff.
Menasha Police has since made an announcement asking the public that are not from Menasha to stay away from those storm-damaged areas and to not remove metal or items seen. A sentiment the Miskey family supports during a trying time.
If you're not going to come here to help, don't come here to gawk.
In Menasha, Abril Preciado, Fox 6 News.
Well, here's how you can help with Fox 6 and supporting those affected by these terrible storms in the Fox cities. Just scan the QR code on your screen, and there you can donate to the Fox Valley Tornado Relief Campaign. Your donations will provide food, shelter, comfort, and care. Thank you so much for everyone who's already donated.
Busy night with breaking news, but we do want to check in with weather and what's happening because we could get some rain.
We definitely could get some rain. That's going to be tomorrow, though, so we'll be pretty quiet as we head throughout the overnight hours tonight. But we got to talk about the weekend, the rain, but not only that, we got our weekend riding forecast. Vroom, 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 my favorite part. Here's just an outlook at what you can expect here in Milwaukee if you plan to just ride locally here. We will be in the 80s tomorrow, lower 80s, 70s over the weekend, and even starting next week. We also get a chance for some rain that's also going to be on the way. Here is a look at our dew points as we head into really the next coming days. Those dew points are definitely going to be increasing as well. So we got the rain coming. That's going to increase the dew points. On top of that, we are also going to be tracking those temperatures to kind of fluctuate. So temperatures will kind of go down a little bit more as well. Now, as we head throughout really the rest of our forecast, I'm going to step off the screen here. It looks like we're frozen, but I'm going to pull up our next item that we're going to talk about overall. So this is just a look at the dew points. Not too bad, but hey, could always be better. They're definitely better than what we're experiencing today. Now they're better today than what they are going to be tomorrow. Here is a look at those current conditions. So you see here 77 degrees here in Milwaukee right now with our dew points at 57, and you got a sneak peek at what the forecast would be for those dew points. Looking at temperatures, we've dropped to the 70s, so it is still rather comfortable outside, and we're really going to hold out in the 70s for the next couple of hours. It's going to take us a little bit of time to drop to the 60s officially, but for majority of the night in the 70s, some areas could wake up in the upper 60s. Looking ahead here at our satellite and radar, we do keep our conditions nice and dry going into tonight, but this is where we start to get a little bit more of those changes to come. You do see just further off to our west there, we are tracking a little bit of that rain that's going to be coming in. That is what's going to provide us with rain at least for Friday afternoon and even early Saturday. We do have drought conditions. The drought monitor actually updated today, and you do notice, including the rain that we saw on Monday, it's still worse. The conditions have worsened over the past week. So hopefully the rain that we get this go around will kind of help alleviate at least our drought conditions being as moderate as they are. As we look ahead here on our Sky Vision Plus, you do notice that we are going to stay quiet tonight. A few clouds could kind of swing into the area. Heading into Friday's forecast, Friday morning, it's going to be great, off to a great start overall, and it's going to be a rather warm start too. Then it starts to feel really sticky out there because we'll have a little bit more of that moisture coming. The rain really starts to move in towards the afternoon, and then it kind of breaks apart. So it's not going to be severe weather that we're expecting, more or less just widespread rain. A little bit more of that heavier batch of rain will arrive overnight into early Saturday, but the good news is most of this should really be out of here by the time we make it to the afternoon on Saturday. So you will get to enjoy some part of your day on Saturday. Sunday looks a little bit better for us, but it will still be pretty cool. As you notice there, we'll be in the 70s, a little cooler by the lake for the next couple of days, but we get the sunshine to end the weekend and to start next week. The next chance we'll track rain after this weekend will be on Wednesday, but regardless, we need this rain. As long as we can make it not severe weather, I think that this is going to be a perfect forecast. Back to you guys at the desk.
Holly, thanks a bunch. We continue to follow breaking news from Waukesha. A police shooting inside of a Meijer happening early this evening, shortly before 6 o'clock. We are waiting for that briefing to get underway in moments, and when it does, we'll have it here. Any moment now, we're going to get an update from Waukesha police. A shooting happened in a Meijer, and we may be getting ready to start.
Yeah, let's listen in.
I'm going to introduce Chief Dan Thompson of the Waukesha Police Department, who has a prepared statement regarding tonight's incident. Chief Thompson.
Thank you, Ty. Good evening. Today, Thursday, July 30th, 2026, at approximately 5:51 p.m., the City of Waukesha Emergency Communications Center received a 911 call from the Meijer grocery store located at 801 East Sunset Avenue. The caller, an adult male, stated that he was armed with a knife, had taken a hostage, and demanded to speak with the hostage negotiator. Waukesha police officers immediately responded to the store, while a trained crisis negotiator from the Waukesha Police Department established telephone contact with the suspect. Responding officers were directed to the suspect's location inside the store. Upon making contact, officers observed the suspect armed with a knife and in close proximity to a 59-year-old male victim. Officers issued multiple commands for the suspect to drop the knife. Based on the suspect's actions and immediate threat he posed to the victim and the responding officers, one officer discharged their firearm to stop the threat of the armed suspect. Officers immediately transitioned to providing emergency medical care to the suspect, including the application of a tourniquet. The suspect was transported by ambulance to a local hospital and remains in critical condition. The victim also sustained injuries. He was treated at the scene for non-life-threatening injuries and was transported to a local hospital. The knife believed to have been used in this incident was recovered at the scene, which was in close proximity to the suspect. One officer was involved in the shooting. The officer is a 26-year-old male and has 5 years of law enforcement experience. In accordance with department policy and standard law enforcement practice, the officer has been placed on administrative leave. The incident was captured on body-worn camera. To maintain integrity investigation, the video will not be released at this time. The Waukesha Police Department would like to thank all the responding agencies who assisted in this incident, to include the Waukesha Fire Department, Waukesha County Sheriff's Office, Wisconsin State Patrol, Wisconsin State Crime Lab, and the Milwaukee Area Investigative Team. As required under Wisconsin law, an independent investigation will be conducted by an outside agency. The Milwaukee Area Investigative Team, also known as MATE, has assumed responsibility for this investigation, with Greenfield Police Department serving as the lead agency. Upon completion of the investigation, it will be forwarded to the Waukesha County District Attorney's Office for review. Preliminary investigation shows that the officer acted within state statutes, department policy, and department training, and fulfilled the mission of Waukesha Police Department's pledge to serve with integrity, honor, and courage. And I'll take a couple questions.
I'm glad to hear that the officers are all okay. Can you explain what the relationship was between the suspect and this 59-year-old?
So I'll tell you, at this time it's unknown and not confirmed yet, so that is under investigation. I'll tell you this, we don't know if there was a relationship with them at all, but it's under investigation.
Can you also confirm there was reports of someone with white face paint, presumably the individual with the knife. Was there something concealing this individual's face?
That is unknown to me at this time. That we'd have to wait for that to come out with the investigation.
When that first call came in, Chief, did the gentleman identify himself to the dispatchers?
He did identify himself by name.
And does he have any history with your department?
There is prior history of contact with us with that individual.
What kind of contact?
At this time, that part of the investigation won't be later released, but not at this time.
Where in the store did this happen?
Oh, that's a good point. So this happened in the main area of the store, like almost in the middle. So there's multiple other witnesses, many witnesses still in the store shopping at the time when this happened.
Chief, you said the 59-year-old was injured. Can you detail the nature of those? Was it injured by this suspect? Was it in a scuffle? What was that?
So that is under investigation as well. So we have to wait for me to actually do the preliminary investigation, and hopefully we'll learn that as well.
Does that mean
So,
it's
one more question.
I'm sorry, just to follow up though, that's an important one. It's too early to say that the suspect injured the victim?
So what I'm saying is, I know that the suspect, the officer is discharged his firearm to stop the suspect, and we do know that the victim was injured. What is being under investigation right now is how that transpired.
Thank you.
And the suspect just had a knife. We heard reports that he might have had a gun. Is that
All we recovered from the scene was a knife at this
And
point.
you're not able to say that that victim was injured by gunfire or the knife or some other means?
Not at this time.
All right, that's all the questions we're going to take.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
That is the briefing that we have been waiting for from Waukesha Police Chief Daniel Thompson. What we know is around 5:51, a person called police 911 saying that they had a knife and a hostage. When responding officers got there, they found the person with the knife with a 59-year-old man nearby who they felt was in danger.
That's when a 26-year-old officer opened fire, hitting the suspect. The victim, the person who presumably was taken hostage or being held at knife point, also injured. We don't know if they were injured by the knife or by that gunfire from law enforcement, but right now we do know the suspect is at a hospital and suffered a critical injury.
And again, this happened in the middle of the store. There were witnesses who saw what happened, but officers knew who they were responding to. The person identified themselves when they made that 911 call and requested to speak with a hostage negotiator. And that's how this all started. This went into motion. They made contact with the person. A 59-year-old male was nearby. Officers tried to negotiate. At one point, an officer discharged his weapon.
Yeah, and it's still an active scene out there. We do know an outside agency, as is usually the case, has been brought in. In this case, Greenfield Police will be handling the investigation to see if what officers did was right. But Chief Thompson saying the preliminary investigation, he was backing his officers' actions, saying it looked like it was by the book.
And a knife was recovered, as this does remain an active investigation. So the person with the knife is in the hospital, as you said, in critical condition. The victim, the 59-year-old person, was injured somehow. How, we don't know, but that person was treated and has non-life-threatening injuries.
We're going to get to Brett Lemoyne in a second. We got a quick break we got to get to. Brett Lemoyne on the other side here. We're following that breaking news. Brett Lemoyne battling the bugs out there now that he's back outside the Waukesha Police Department. Fascinating details revealed in that press conference. Brett, what'd you think?
Yeah, absolutely, Ben. I think the most interesting thing that developed here tonight from Chief Thompson in that press conference just a short moment ago was that the suspect himself called police, told them that he was armed with a knife and had taken a hostage. We've learned that the quote-unquote victim in this case, that hostage, was a 59-year-old male who was hurt somehow. That part is still under investigation. I think you probably heard me asking the chief about that mystery that we've been hearing from at least one of the witnesses that I spoke with earlier today, that the man with a knife had somehow concealed his face with face paint or makeup or something, some sort of white substance. There was no answer for that either. We do know, though, that the individual who is considered the suspect in this case is known to law enforcement. This is someone that has a history with police and will be facing criminal charges for their actions.
But that person is in the hospital, and police told us in critical condition.
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't know anything beyond that, but it just kind of speaks to the magnitude of this particular situation. Officers tried to get this individual to drop the knife. Police say that he did not comply. An officer, a 26-year-old male, fired at this suspect and ultimately had the resolution that we know now.
We also heard how dangerous it was because of where this happened in the store.
Yeah, right in the middle of Meijer, so central location in the store. You heard the police chief say that there were a number of witnesses. That kind of fills in some of the blanks since we've been on scene reporting about this since 6 o'clock this evening, to kind of understand how they were letting all of these customers out of Meijer, doing police interviews, getting statements from individuals. But certainly because of that location, there were many more eyes on this. From a shopper standpoint, the chief was asked after the press conference was over, Ben, if he himself has reviewed the body camera, and his response to that question was simply that everything that he has seen and everything that he has heard indicates that his officer acted in accordance with policy and training procedures.
We've been discussing body cameras quite a bit in the last week in light of what's happened in Madison, and so we do know, as you said, that Waukesha officers are equipped with body cameras, and so that is going to be vital to this investigation.
Yep, the entire incident, Kim, was captured on body cameras. That is all under review right now. Again, criminal charges are pending. Police will not be releasing that body camera at this time, but they did say, again, that it was captured on body camera. Not only that, but they have witnesses in the store in terms of shoppers who saw this. They have the victim himself also that will be able to presumably provide testimony as well. And then you have to assume, although the chief did not address this, Meijer being a department store, there are security cameras that are throughout the building as well.
Yeah, there will be a lot of video evidence, and it's been an interesting conversation in that community because the Waukesha County Sheriff's Office does not have body cameras. And Brett, you were interviewing the sheriff's candidates recently talking about that issue, but in this case, there will be plenty of video, and it already is being gone through tonight. All right, Brett, appreciate it. Thanks.
Our coverage of the police shooting at Meijer continues on FOX6Now.com and the Fox local app. Want to send it now to Holly Baker on this Thursday evening with a forecast as we get closer to the weekend.
Yes, this weekend's going to be starting off a little soggy, I should say, Kim and Ben, as we will have a little bit of rain that arrives late Friday, so tomorrow afternoon, and then that will kind of carry over into Saturday morning and really for the start of Saturday afternoon, which you'll see it all on our Sky Vision. We're looking at our temperatures now. 87 degrees was our high temperature for today, and then now we're down to about 77, which still feels nice and comfortable. Dew points at 57. Wind is from the south, very light overall, about 8 miles per hour. Now, looking at those temperatures across southeast Wisconsin, what you're noticing here is some areas are really starting to drop even more in temperatures, but the areas by the lake holding steady in the 70s. 79 in Waukesha, 77 in Milwaukee, as well as in Madison, and even further to our north in Fond du Lac. As we look ahead here with our temperatures and how they'll trend throughout the night, we are overall going to stay in the 70s for a lot of our areas. Some areas could even drop to the upper 60s as we head overnight tonight. Looking at our satellite and radar, nice and quiet right now. We will start to get a little bit more of the increase in clouds as we head into tomorrow's forecast, and then the rain will definitely arrive by the afternoon. Well, we need it, right? Look at this. This is a look at our current drought conditions. So the drought monitor has updated, and today that update came out. And you've noticed we have started to see a bigger area of moderate drought conditions, and then some areas just outlining that is where they're just abnormally dry. Comparing this to last week's, even though we had rain, a record rainfall on Monday, we are still seeing our drought conditions worsen. So with the rain that's coming, we're definitely waiting for it. We do need more rain here in southeast Wisconsin. Let's take a look here on our Sky Vision Plus. So you'll be able to kind of actually see it overall as we head throughout really Friday's forecast, where that rain's going to be moving in. We're dry overnight, keeping it dry for the first half of the day on Friday. Then as we head towards the afternoon, we start to see a little bit more of those showers trending towards our area. Now, this rain will continue, especially as we head into Saturday's forecast. And then we also have a little bit more of that heavier rain that could possibly sneak in as well. So by the time we make it to Saturday morning, as early as about 6 o'clock, still going to be dealing with widespread rain conditions. That doesn't mean you have to cancel your plans on Saturday, because as we head towards the afternoon, you will notice that rain is going to eventually start to leave out of the area. Heading into Sunday's forecast, we're going to be much drier. We're also going to be a little bit more on the windier side. So definitely expect a lake breeze as we head into Sunday's forecast. Looking ahead here on our 6-day planner, not only Sunday with the lake breeze, Saturday will also have a lake breeze, and Monday. So really Saturday through Monday, we got a lake breeze that's going to be going on. And then we dry out heading into the start of the week, and then temperatures will start to warm back up. We're a little bit cooler over the weekend. As you see there, we'll drop to the 70s. And that's because of the rain is going to kind of keep us on the cooler side. But we do make a smooth recovery closer to our average as we head into next week. And we'll be tracking more rain, too, especially by Wednesday. We'll have another chance for showers to be on the way. Back to you at the desk.
Just don't get in the way of the fair next week. All right, Holly Baker, thanks.
Well, the investigation continues at the Meijer store. We just got a ton of information from the Waukesha police chief. The suspect is in critical condition at the hospital. One victim who was apparently taken hostage, or at least that was the phone call that came in from the suspect to police earlier tonight, also injured. So we'll stay on top of this breaking news story out in Waukesha. Stay with us here in Fox 6 News at 9. Well, President Trump considers stronger strikes on Iran. A new report shows America's weapons stockpiles are dwindling. Fox's Rebecca Castor has the latest details from Washington.
With only a few short breaks in the fighting since the war with Iran broke out in late February, America's munition stockpiles are lower than most military planners would like. Researchers at the Center for Strategic and International Studies estimate the U.S. has fewer than 827 Patriot interceptors and less than 278 THAAD ballistic missile interceptors, which could put a strain on how U.S. forces defend against future Iranian attacks.
We're not in a comfortable place, which means you take on risk.
The U.S.'s supply of offensive missiles is more substantial, and the Pentagon insists it has all it needs to finish this war. But Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is still calling on Congress to pass the department's budget so it can replenish the arsenal.
Not funding this department at $1.5 trillion, I believe, is the greatest threat that our nation faces.
Wednesday, the Pentagon announced it awarded Lockheed Martin a $58.6 billion deal to ramp up production of Patriot interceptors, and the company's working on developing lower-cost missiles as well.
A lower-cost Patriot missile that we call PAC-3 Ace, which will be about half the cost, do about 2/3 of the mission set. So we want to innovate right along with the production ramp that we're doing.
The House approved the Pentagon's $1 trillion budget request last week, but it stalled in the Senate, where Democrats today tried and failed for the 13th time to force President Trump to step back from the conflict with the war powers vote. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
With stories that matter to you, Fox 6 News at 10 starts